This is Lee Payne from Cloven Hoof, and I'll see you at the Tampa Morgue.
Dark's a night, shining moon, east and south, the west and north. Hearken to the witch's rune. Here I come to call thee forth. Earth and water, air and fire, while the power of land and sea. Work ye unto my desire, as I do will, so mote it be.
What's up? This is Tony, and you're listening to the Tampa Morgue, episode number 46. And whether you listen to us in the morning, the afternoon, or night, or if it's 10 years from now, we thank you for checking out the show. And I am joined by my co-host and bandmate, Mr. Ed Webb. What's up, dude?
Mr. Anderson, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. How you doing? I know you had a busy weekend. I've been talking to you. I know you've been running around like crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty hectic. I didn't to all those who hate me for not going live, it was not as simple as I thought it would be.
You had
It
some
was very
critics.
loud. Very loud, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, when I say it was loud, like there were 5 stages going off at all times, no matter where you walked. It was like, I mean, my son called me and I couldn't hear a fucking thing he was saying. And I stepped outside of the bar that was blaring music, where we were sitting and eating. Yeah, it was rough, man. I thought it was going to be a lot easier to do something live like that. But usually, generally, festivals, they're spread out. And
Rotating
this
stage
one,
and stuff.
yeah, this one, they had it condensed into literally if you picture Baltimore, the power plant was like off of one main street. The next street was blocked off. And at the end of that next road, which would have been the next major street, was the market stage, which was the outside stage where like Forbidden, Sacrifice, Dismember played. It was a good walk, but you had bands going on there. Right where we played, there was another inside stage on the bottom, which was the Ram's Head. Up top, you walk up a flight of stairs, there's a stage there, and then there was a stage just across the street right before the market. It was chaos. So many people walking around and run. I mean, it was definitely different than the last time I went there.
It seemed like
Yeah.
everybody was there. We're talking about Maryland Death Fest, what Edge just played with Monstrosity this past weekend.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Who was one of the, we'll talk about this in some more detail when we do a solo episode next week. But what was some of the highlights for you band wise that you actually saw play?
Seeing Forbidden and Sacrifice, I saw Forbidden, many, many, many years ago, but seeing them and then Sacrifice was pretty killer. Right after we played, the reformed after 25 years Oppressor played. This band Ahab, if you're into that doom, I like him. Didn't get to see him play because we had to go back, but I watched their sound check, which they did 4 or 5 songs, and they were killer. Perdition Temple, got to see my boy Ronnie crush. So there were a lot of it was hard to see bands because they were all going off at the same time. And the first night we were there, we were told if we didn't catch a shuttle, like it was like 9:45, we had to be at the shuttle to go back to the hotel to drop off our gear. We'd have to get an Uber. And after seeing what it cost me for an Uber the next day, I'm
sure
glad
it was
I
stupid.
did. It was $20 there, $30 back. At some points when I checked, it was $40 to $50 because everybody was calling an Uber. So I had to wait until I finally got it down to like almost $30. And then we had to bail. Like I said, not how I expected it at all. It was chaotic. I mean, in a good way, you know what I mean? It was killer. But I did see a lot of fucking people, man. A lot of people.
Yeah, it seemed like just by seeing the photographs, everybody going there, or the videos, it seems like there was a lot of people that we knew there personally. I mean, every time I looked, there was someone else putting a picture up from Maryland. And those who are listening, who are wondering, we do have a guest tonight. We opened up the show with the song "Cloven Hoof" from the album "Cloven Hoof" from 1984, from the band Cloven Hoof. So you got it covers every angle there. But we do have Lee Payne coming on, the bassist and founder. They have a new album coming out, so we're going to talk to him in a few minutes. He'll be with us. But yeah, I mean, Ed, we'll definitely do like a little Maryland Death Fest thing on the next episode. Yeah. But what are a couple songs you guys played on your set for that night for the Monstrosity set?
Pretty much the same shit we play. We play Imperial stuff. We play from every record. So this time around, we've been usually starting with the Passage stuff, the first couple songs, because it was the newest record. But we started with 2 Imperial songs, which I think people really dug because they knew what they were. We started with Definitive into Final, Cremation. Yeah, people went nuts. I mean, the pop we got I was not expecting that. And you saw the picture I sent you. The fucking crowd went. So when you get to the back at some point, there's a barrier that you have to show your wristband to get into. the crowd was beyond that, which is fucking nuts, dude. Death Metal Dave was there. He's like, dude, they were fucking way beyond. There was like a fountain with water. He said they were out way back there,
Yeah, it looked
which
pretty
is killer.
awesome.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I had a great time.
Yeah, definitely look cool, and we'll definitely catch up on that whole. Like I said, man, I was really happy for you, and big things to come for you guys. I think in the next year, and so let me see here. Before we have some guests that we kind of confirmed. We're already pretty much booked up all of next month, so we're pretty much booked solid next month for guests. So we'll announce some of those guys. Tonight we have Lee Payne coming on, like we said, from Cloven Hoof. We have, what do we have here? We're going to do a show next week, probably just be me and Ed. June 15th, we have Bloody F Mess from Bloody Mess and the Scabs and a bunch of other punk rock bands. We have Chris from Autopsy coming on June 19th, which I think is going to be an awesome episode. We've been talking to Chris about getting him on for a while, just trying to make everything work. So we have him coming on the 19th. We have Gene from Angel Corpse and Perdition Temple coming on. He'll be on June 25th. And yeah, we're pretty much this next month, Ed. We're pretty much
yeah, man,
packed.
Slammed.
Yeah, usually we don't book that fast, but the whole month's pretty much booked up. And like I said, we'll probably do a show or two. But it's Hey,
I got something to throw out there, which give our boys, friends of ours, a little pop here. As I was getting ready to come in here, I noticed that Gruesome dropped a new track. Did you catch it?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's called Frailty. I literally listened to it before I came on so that I could preview it. They're hitting the human era of death. It's definitely. I
didn't even know they had a new track coming out.
Yeah, well, I saw that Gus posted new Gruesome in 1 hour or 1 o'clock. He said 1 p.m., which I obviously missed it, but I just happened to refresh my Facebook before I came in here and it was there. So I said, oh, let me check this out. And yeah, it's, they're continuing on, man. It's definitely, they know how to flip those fucking riffs, man. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you could tell it's definitely the human era. You could tell every era that they play what album they're trying to stay close to. You know what I mean? This one is definitely, as soon as I heard it, I was like, holy shit, that's human. So they're continuing on. Matt Harvey's vocals were ripping. He was holding out some long Chuck style screams. Very, very well done. Congratulations, boys. Keeping it up, man. I can't wait to hear the whole record because they do not disappoint. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be, you pretty much expect quality from those guys. And there's a couple albums coming out I was looking at this week. I'm sure there's a bunch more than this, but I saw obviously we have Cloven Hoof has the Heathen Cross coming out on the 31st, which is like in 2 days on High Roller Records. You got Wormwood from Sweden. A lot of Swedish bands I noticed. The Star comes out on Friday on Black Lodge Records. Hell Butcher from Sweden. The album Hell Butcher comes out on Metal Blade. It's their debut full length. They put out a demo in 2022. And Stormcrow, not the Oakland Stormcrow, but a Stormcrow from Italy, have an album coming out called Passive Ascension on Time to Kill Records. Bloodbound, Tales of Nosferatu, they're from Sweden too. That's coming. That's a live album. And I think there was another Swedish band, Black Wound. But I think that's the first time it's coming out on CD. I think that came out last year, that album, Warping Structure. I need to double check that. But so some releases coming out, and we're going to be, I think actually, let me check here 1 second. I think we're going to be joined by Lee here in a second. How you doing, Lee? Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
It's great to talk to you guys. Yeah, I'm pretty good. With the release of new album and stuff, I'm really kind of proud of it. And, the reaction's been fantastic so far. So, it's always good, isn't it, when you get good reviews like right away or right off the bat.
You have to be excited, too, because you have 2 days until it comes out, because it's the way people who are listening to us
That's right.
Yeah, it'll be out Friday.
I haven't heard it yet, so, hey, it's just the tip of the iceberg, but it's been, some great reviews and stuff, and it kind of does the heart good, reading positive stuff, so.
Well, we have heard the record, and we're definitely going to talk to you about that. And, we were telling you before we started the show what we thought about it. But when we get to the record, we'll tell you it's definitely a killer record, definitely a throwback to the first album, in my opinion. It goes back to that whole feel. But let's start out with a little bit about you, in general. So you were born in, Wednesbury, England?
Yeah, right in the heart of the West Midlands. we're from the same kind of area as like Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and Robert Plant, from Led Zeppelin and stuff. So it's very and Glenn Hughes out of Deep Purple and stuff, and it's very kind of got a rich kind of heavy metal kind of sort of history to the place. I think I don't know why, but all the Midlands bands, there seems to be that sort of dark aggression in the music. Maybe it's because it's a tough place. Like. But there's tough places everywhere. But that actual kind of sound, like it definitely sort of originated like in the Midlands, and a lot of people sort of think that heavy metal's kind of born like sort of in Birmingham, like with Black Sabbath. Really, I wouldn't particularly dispute that. So, but
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think Cloven Hoof could have come from anywhere else. To be honest, we had the same rehearsal room as Judas Priest when we started off. Judas Priest we rehearsed at Holy Joe's, which is like a church hall, and and we started off there as well. Just what a coincidence, exactly the same place as Priest, and like lot of sort of bands sort of did. It's got kind of a sort of a mini kind of touristy thing now, like Holy Joe's, because it's got the signatures all over the walls and stuff, So, but definitely rich sort of metal heritage, like from where I come from.
and do you like when you were growing up? Do you remember like your first kind of in that area? Even like what was the first kind of music that you? It doesn't have to be metal or rock or anything, but what was the first music that actually caught your attention?
Oh yeah, the first band I actually liked really in a serious way. It was a English band called Slade, and
Oh yeah,
Slade. I think Gene Simmons mentioned that Slade were a big influence on Kiss. Because what it was, Slade were hard rocking, but they had these really sort of catchy melodies, and I think that's probably the similarities like with Kiss, like later on, because Kiss have got that sort of commercial age as well. And I thought they were great. And I had a friend of mine, like at school, like, and we like talking about music. And he said, what sort of bands do you like? It was like Slade and the heavier numbers of a band called Sweet, which were great. Like they were sort of a glam band as well, but they really rocked hard. Like on the albums, Set Me Free and stuff, brilliant. So he said, I tell you what, I'll give you a tape of band that I think you'll like. And you think, okay, well, fair enough. So he did me this tape, and it was the school holidays, and I just took the tape home, and I think I'll give it a spin on holiday, if I'm bored or whatever it is. And sure enough, on family holidays, yeah, you get bored about the second week, and I put this tape on, and it was just like a bolt of lightning. What the hell is this? It's the best thing I've ever heard in my life. And I went and told my dad, come check this band out. Like he said, who is it? I got no idea. The guy didn't write the name of the band or anything. We put it on there, and my dad's like listening away, and he went, "That guitarist's amazing, isn't it?" Like, well, love it. Anyway, and the next track, like he was blown away by the next track as well. Anyway, went back as soon as I went back to school, after some holidays. Uh, he went and told me who the band was. It's Deep Purple, and the album was made in Japan. And I heard Highway Star changed my life. I heard that, and it was like, I want to do that. So it was simple as that, like it's just life changing the way that music affected me, like the guitar arpeggios of Richie and stuff, and Roger Glover's fantastic sort of Rickenbacker sound on the Made in Japan. Yeah, that was a big moment. And then I said, have you got any more stuff like this, like I don't know about? He went, well, you might like these, and it gave me this like weird looking album sleeve, and I opened up, gatefold sleeve, opened it up, and it's got like an inverted cross and everything. It's Sabbath's first album. I just read the poem. I was into them before I even heard it. I read this weird kind of, what was it, rabbits born in traps, gesticulating deaths, or
yeah.
whatever it is. I went, geez, this is deep. I'm going to like these, I bet. And I was blown away. And I went and got to Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, like right away, and blown away. I mean, that's still my favourite Sabbath album. So, yeah.
If you
So,
remember on that first album too, with
yeah,
that upside down cross you're talking about in the middle, I guess they didn't have any idea they were going to put that in the cover of the label.
yeah.
It was
I
kind of
didn't
like a
I didn't
surprise.
know either. And I remember something like Ozzy was like moaning like about his dad. His dad. What's this upside down cross? Ozzy's dad went mental like when they read it. We had
Yes.
our manager. He's a guy's called Raymond Froggatt at the time. We went in the studio, and we made our first demo. And he went, "I've got the new Black Sabbath," kind of thing, and he took instant sort of like to us and got things rolling for us. But his guitarist H. Kane was Ozzy's next door neighbour, and when they were called Earth, they used to ask Froggy for gigs, because Froggy wrote all these songs for these big artists. And I'm thinking, imagine having Black Sabbath as your support band. I went, how did that go down? He went, yeah, they went down great. I went, but you're country and west.
Yeah, and Lee, I was going to wait for this, but I heard this story, and you have to tell. I mean, I heard the most. I have to say, this might be the most amazing Ozzy Osbourne story. This has to rank in the top 10 of what I've heard. And Lee told this story recently. Lee, you have to tell us your Ozzy story because,
Oh,
yes, I mean that is a fucking great story.
that was a good one. Well, the first time I would have met Ozzy as well, there's a guy called Pete Clements at Beacon Radio, and he was interviewing Ozzy. I went, oh yeah, right at the station, and he didn't turn up. Like typical Aussie faction. But our manager had he had a sort of a phone call from Ozzy, and he's like really down. He just like got kicked out of Sabbath like the first time and stuff. And he went, oh, will you come round and everything? I'm really down. And he said, I bet you want to come, don't you? And I went, I'm there. Let's go. And he had his house in Stafford, which is just down the road from me. And so got to his house. And when we got there, we were really surprised. There's nothing in the house. It's completely, bare, stripped, And we went, what's happened? And he went, oh, Don Harden's just taken everything back. And I went, well, all he's got is like food and mostly cans of beer, that he had quite a lot of that, but nothing. Now, and the furniture's gone as well. We couldn't believe it. And he said, "Oh, you've got these, platinum and gold records on the wall." He goes, doesn't mean anything now. And he went, "Do you know what? I've never played any of them." And I went, "Really?" And he just took down from the wall. He's completely like in a bad state, but and he smashed one of the gold records over his knee, glass everywhere, and he got the record out and he put it on the turntable, and it wasn't even Black Sabbath. It was just, I don't know, it was just like Frank Ifield or somebody warbling away, like. And he went, "This isn't even Paranoid." He went, "Oh, what a joke." And he went, and he just went along, getting him off the wall, smashing him over his knee. And he went, "Come and follow us." We went in his garden. I went, "What's he doing now?" He said, "I don't know." He said, and he just gave me the albums to hold. And he went off into the shed, and he came out with a shotgun. And I went, "What's going to happen now?" And he goes, "Right, see, just throw that record as high as you possibly can." And I sort of like, I threw it up high, and he just took a shot at it. And he had about 5 or 6 goes, and he's starting to hit like chimneys, and tiles are coming off the roof of some of the houses. So I went, "Oh, we got to calm this down a bit." And Froggy sort of went, "Oh, you've had a few to drink. It's getting a bit dangerous now, so I think we should knock this on the head." He went, "I'm completely sober. I'm completely fine." And he went, "No, you're not." He goes, "I could drive my car all the way to the end of that lane blindfold." And we went, Ozzy, honestly, you can't. He went, "I bet you." And he got in the car, ripped up his T-shirt, made a blindfold. And to be honest, he would have made it. He perfectly straight, went down the road, except for the tractor coming out the field. And the tractor came out the field and hit his car, and it went down a ditch. And I was thinking, we've killed Ozzy. Oh, my God. And so, Froggy went and got the... found up the hospital, and they came and took him away. And like next day, Froggy went and visited him, and instead of moaning or anything, Ozzy went, "Told you I'd have done it." It's covered in bandages. Fantastic. But yeah, that was Ozzy, and makes you love him even more than it really does. As if you could love Ozzy any more than you already do. Brilliant. Yeah.
Exactly. I heard that story. I thought it was absolutely amazing. How does no one know this story? It's got to be like...
No, it's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. It could have ended very badly, but it turned out okay.
Yeah, and to go back to your roots, so your grandmother was a piano player, right? And you were around some music.
Yeah, she was really good. She was the first one to sort of realise that it was sort of like I had some sort of talent really, because I was sort of rehearsing and stuff like at home and stuff, and my nan visited one of the days, and she went, that was that you then? I went, yeah. What's that you're playing? I went, oh, I wrote it myself. And then she goes off, and suddenly the whole family's like looking through the door, going like, she reckons you can really play. I went, well, yeah, like, hopefully. And she was a really, really good piano player. And I had a distant uncle, George Watts, and he was like a leading kind of saxophone player, like in a big band kind of thing. So he was the other one. So I don't know, maybe I get it a bit from in Payne really. But yeah, she was the first one to sort of this boy can play. So yeah.
And you were already starting to write stuff when she was here, and you write you as even like when you first started playing, you were already starting to put together song like some
I
riffs and
really
stuff.
was. I mean, like well, there was no sort of tab books in like my day. Like everything you had. I looked at gigs as my kind of my sort of university. Really, I used to go and just if there's something that I really like, I used to go and then see the band do it. Like, and I'd have a look and see what area on the neck they are when they're doing this, and then just go, yeah, what sort of techniques are you doing there? And I used to go home and then like you know, practice stuff myself. You know, and I'd have specific bits of songs that I want to learn, so I'd go and watch it. I mean, the best education I have ever had really was when Rush went and played Birmingham Old in my hometown, and in those days. It was a 21-12 tour, amazing, like, and
That was their first European tour, right? So
right, yeah,
75,
very first one.
76.
Yeah, and I was there and actually did Xanadu, which they didn't bring out till the next album, Farewell to Kings.
How was the turnout for that show?
Honestly, there's about 30 people and it holds like a few thousand, like. But it didn't matter
Wow.
because there's 30 of us, and I just watched everything Geddy did, and like watched Alex and oh my God, Neil, and I learned so much that night, like different sort of techniques, and it was like a masterclass through watching them. And then when they did Farewell to Kings, it was hard to get a ticket. And then Hemispheres, like you had to know somebody to get for that one. It was absolutely rammed. So yeah, I've been sort of Rush fan, like very early on, and
And
they've always blown me
and
away.
those who don't know, you started out as a guitar player too. You're even though you're playing bass now, you did start out a guitar player.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I found it very useful, really, for the songwriting. Mainly. But the thing was, what I always loved, like I'm humming to myself and stuff, it was always the bass lines, and like I just realised I've got to switch that because I love the way the bass can kind of dictate the drive of a song, and it's like a science, when you lock in with the bass drums or whether you're playing melodic over the top. And I just thought it was such a cool instrument. And then you can, I mean, a lot of people go, "Oh, you play like a lead guitar." Well, sometimes I do, but hopefully I'm playing the song and I'm nailing the song down. But then I weave all these sort of melodic bass lines in there. I was heavily influenced by sort of Chris Squire and Geddy Lee, obviously, and Geezer Butler. Geezer used to come up with fantastic bass lines. And
Oh, definitely.
basically, something's got to rub off when you listen to the masters. So hopefully it was all worth it. So
And Highway Star too, like you said, that had a lot to do with you playing the bass because the bass lines really caught your attention.
yeah, right away it's got the drive immediately, and for me it was just like the drive and the power was a lot to do with the bass. So that's what turned me on really. It's like you can have the solos, but what I loved was the riffs and the driving, and the driving sound and stuff. So yeah, I just gravitated towards the bass really. But in terms of songwriting, I never touched the bass. I just, I compose everything like on guitar. You know, off the you get first of all, I have the melody line, and then from that I work out the sort of chord structures and things. And then at the end, I use the bass to cement everything together. So, it's my time to have fun once you've got the track, and I'll get a turn on the bass like at the end. So, but
When did you get your first bass?
that would be 1970, be 77, 77, 78, something like that. Uh, and like, it was really sort of a cheap jazz bass kind of copy. I wish I'd have just stuck to jazz bass because I love the thinness of the neck and stuff. So I should have learned from that, like because I really love the jazz bass now. But obviously, I wanted Rickenbacker because all my heroes kind of played Rickenbackers. Roger Glover and Chris Squire and Geddy and everything. So that sort of. But I love that growly sound as well. But you can get that. You can get that at the. It just depends on your amp. If you use. Two systems, one for a growly sound on the bass and the other one just for bass, and then you have them wide in stereo. Then a jazz bass will sound. You'll have that growl like a Rickenbacker anyway. So yeah, but yeah, I love those two basses as well. So
And your first band, was that actually? So we're going to get to Cloven Hoof now, because Cloven Hoof was formed, what, October 31st, 1979.
that's the one
Um,
on
what
Halloween.
what was that? Was that your first band actually?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I was sort of schoolmate of mine. He was a pretty good guitarist, and we sort of got together and we went to that hall. Before then, we were kind of sort of jamming like each other's houses as people do. But that was the first time at that place in Womburn. Like we had the drummer. It was Kevin Pountney's first audition, and we were kind of born at that moment. Really, we kind of sort of jammed 2112 Rush and did Emerald by Thin Lizzy and Warrior and stuff. And we decided we liked to play together. But over a period of like a few weeks, months, or whatever it is, I started showing the guys the sort of stuff that I was working on myself. And in the end, we preferred to play like my songs. So in the end, we never did sort of cover versions at all, really.
Yeah, you guys all did originals. Didn't you? You guys did a couple of Coven covers. That was it in the beginning.
Uh, well, in our rehearsals, we just play like some Rush songs and then Thin Lizzy and stuff like that. But when we kind of got the singer together as well, we were already like Cloven Hoof. We already had all the set and everything, and he just had to sing on it, really. To be
And that
honest,
was Dave. That was
that was Dave. Yeah, Dave Potter, great guy. Really really nice chap.
great voice too.
We got on real well. Like yeah, he was a really nice guy, and he sang with a lot of passion and kind of commitment. And it was very difficult, to get a singer because, like at the time, we were getting pretty desperate, really, because no one was singing in the way that we wanted, really, like in the area, like they turn up and be sort of too bluesy or whatever. And we went to the local radio station, and it was just when Rob Halford turned turned up to do an interview. So I thought, well, if they won't help us to get a singer, at least we get to meet Rob, kind of thing. So he sat on the wall like hear no evil, see no evil, like the Three Monkeys, sitting on this wall, and like Rob came in the studio, and went, well, you just got to be a band new lot, and I went, yeah, we are, and we need a singer. And I can't believe I said this, but I honestly did. I went, and you do, he said, that's exactly what you need. You need balls of steel. He went, I'm going to listen to your demo tape then, bring it in. And we, just for the cheek, I think. And he took it in and he had a listen. He went, well, for a start, this isn't you. This is like 30-year-old musicians, like you little kids, 18. You can't play like that. And yeah, it is us. He went, well, I'll tell you what, you get a singer, then I want to hear, you know. And he took me number and everything, and then went away. And I thought that'd be the end of it, really. But it was really nice of him, to take an interest and stuff. But funnily enough, it's like the following year, and I think Screaming for Vengeance, I think it was. And my mum said, "There's a guy called Rob Halford just called you up," and I thought,
Insane.
it's got to be a piss take, like he isn't. But it was him, and he said we're down that pub, by Beacon Radio. So we went and met him, and he said, "Did you get that singer?" I went, "Yeah, he's the demo time," and he said, "I'll give these give this an airplay in America, if it's as good as I think it's going to be." And then later on in the year, he came back for another tour, and the DJ, he was like in Phoenix, and he was playing that demo type a lot, and it was amazing, for him to take such an interest, and thanks to Rob, he also took our demo tape into Radio One, which Tommy Vance show, which was a national institution. Everybody wanted to be on that show because a lot of bands got their big break through being on the Tommy Vance show. And but a week a week earlier, I'd my mate had said you know, you demo tape, you want to give it Planty? And I went, yeah, that'd be good, but I don't know where Robert Plant is. He goes, I do. You know, and he told me where his house was. Just literally like 5 miles down the road from me, really was then. And he said it's the only one with an American mailbox outside. So it made it a little bit easier to sort of track it down. But anyway, I was wearing a Wolverhampton Wanderers football shirt. We both support Wolves, plenty supports Wolves, gold and black. And I was
That's
putting
his team too, right?
I was, yeah, that's it. And put it in these letterbox. And suddenly this voice said, like the shirt. And we looked round and there was Planty. We went, oh, jeez. And he goes, you a band? Is that your demo tape? He goes, yeah. He went, if I like this, I'll take it into Tommy Vance for you. And I went, okay, that'll be good. So what happened was Rob Alford took it in and Robert Plant took it into Radio 1. And he said, well, how many more famous people do you know? We'll have to give you the session, you know. So that led to our first session of Radio 1. So big thanks to those guys, you know.
Yeah, I think 2024, Robert Plant would probably have you hauled off his yard by the police. You know, you're putting stuff in his mailbox. You know, it's all. I mean, that's a crazy story, man.
Cameras now, you know, don't you try?
Yeah.
So everybody,
just hearing that, you're like, yeah, it's just insane, man. That's absolutely it's. That is a crazy story, and you know, with the whole,
you know, you just so full of confidence. You just try anything. You fearless, aren't you, when you're young? You know, like. I mean,
Yeah,
even more you think, Jesus, what I used to do, you know, who'd have the balls to do that? But yeah, you do as when you're young, you know, you're just full of fight, aren't you? You'll literally.
And it worked out for you, you know. I mean, it's a crazy, and you know, with Cloven Hoof. So is it's so you guys actually, it's a total myth. You guys were actually never called Nightstalker. That's just kind of as a band name. That's just kind of a myth that got started. That goes around a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know. Like, I mean, we had Nightstalker was about the third track, which we had, and we had a couple of ex-band members who left. I don't know what they called it, a Nightstalker, so maybe somebody just got. I don't really know how these things happen, but yeah, that's a myth. You know, we've always been Cloven Hoof day one.
And with the name Cloven Hoof, so that's actually, you know, so where did you? Was the band? So what I always wondered with Cloven Hoof was, were you guys really into the Satanism thing, or was it kind of just the occult atmosphere you wanted to catch with that name? And like,
I loved the occult like imagery. You know, I was thought it's like mega cool. You know, like, but for me, I mean, at the time, I was thinking, well, you know, why don't we use real spells and stuff? You know, like why not go the whole way? So I had this girlfriend. She worked at the library, and she got me the Book of Shadows, and it's got this big witch's rune in there, you know, like, so it's a real thing. So, you know, I was like flirting with it kind of thing, but so many weird things have happened to us that I'm glad I didn't go that way, because I still can't really justify with its coincidence. So many weird things have happened that I prefer definitely to leave it alone, to be quite honest. So it's just for entertainment value now, but I was flirting with trying it early on. You know, so you know, I think it's worth.
Yeah, your producer actually had you remove some of it, right, in the studio when you guys did that first record. He actually had you take out some of the witch's spell.
Yeah, that's right. We've had loads of things with that song. It's always that song, even to the American back-to-back tours we did. You know, like we had something every single night during that witch's room thing. Somebody break a guitar, the amps would break down. It was just ridiculous. We were just like every single night. This is crazy. And we were telling a guy called Kit, and he came down all the way down to New Orleans to see us. And he said, "How's the tour going?" I went, "It's fine until we play Cloven Hoof, to be quite honest, in the Witty's room." And then we told him why, and he went, "Hey, I'm going to watch what happens, you know, when you do Frost and Fire." So we went up to California and we did the Frost and Fire festival, fantastic festival. We had a great time. But I was on stage, and we got to the Witch's room bit, and I felt the cross as if it was like ripped off my neck. And I said to the singer George, I went, did you see that? And he went, "I didn't see anything." He went, "Your cross is on the drum riser." I went, "Yeah," but he went, "He didn't see it." I thought, oh, that's the end of that then. But Kit saw it. He goes, "I was waiting for something weird, and it was like your cross like flung off your neck and landed up on the drum riser." He went, "I couldn't believe it." So he saw it and he wrote about it as well. You know, at least
what's funny is
He wasn't
We,
waiting.
we opened up the show with it, and we had audio problems right away.
Yeah, I know, you can't do it. But we were at Neat, everything was working fine, and we tell him a few weird things that happened, and to the engineer. And he went, okay, then. So we're doing the song, and then we got to the witch's room bit. Everything conked out. Nothing worked at all. And he went, go home, I've got to fix this. And the minute we got home, he went, the studio's working again now. It's that song. He went, take some more of them lyrics out, get rid of some of that spell, and don't come back until you try, get rid of some of those words. So I cut them out. So I did that, and then, it was okay. But yeah, I mean, like how many times a coincidence, and before it's a fact, I mean, we've had so many things now that, kind of leave it alone,
And you guys stopped playing that for a while. That song.
Yeah, we did. 10 years. It took a lot for me
Yeah.
to play it again. To be quite honest, everybody's spooked about doing it. And in the end, we did it. Oh, God, what a coincidence! We're in Valencia. And we'd only decided to bring Cloven Hoof sort of a couple of weeks before. It was like in the rehearsals. And we're at Valencia, and these really kind of heavy looking guys came in, no. And he said, I said, God, who are them? Like in the dressing room. And everybody left, so I must have had pretty fearsome reputation kind of thing. He goes, yeah, that's the Church of Satan, that is. I went, really? He goes, yeah. He said, they want to see you and everything. And I went, and this guy sort of said, are you a Satanist, a Diabolist, or a Neo-Satanist? And he went, and what's your, the cross is the wrong way up. And I sort of went, I thought it was Church of England, actually. And the stupid little joke didn't go down well with him at all, And he said, are you going to play the song tonight? And I went, actually, yes, we are, And I was really relieved, He said, because if you do not play the song, we would kill you.
Oh, geez.
Was he joking? I don't know whether he was, but anyway, we played the song, and went down pretty good.
And they own the Cloven Hoof on the internet, right? They own the rights to that for the internet.
Yeah.
Church of Satan?
We can't have the .com Cloven Hoof because them have got
And
it.
also, when you guys first started, I think you only did 3 or 4 shows actually in the makeup, but you guys had they had the earth, fire, water,
Yeah,
the names for the band.
Yeah, we had the concept, and God, it's a shame. Great concept, so much so that when we got in the heavy metal chart at number 18, back in '82.
And that was the Kerrang charts, correct?
Yeah,
National Kerrang charts.
Yeah, and we had this fantastic concept, Fire, Water, Earth and Air and everything, and CBS wanted to sign us for a lot of money, and the stage show would have been out this world. It'd been like sort of Kiss on steroids. It would have been amazing. And our manager, a guy called David Hemmings, he also managed Pat Travers Band and Judas Priest, and he was negotiating the deal with CBS Records, which is now Sony, and he died. He died. And
that's crazy.
And I know. Look at that for bad luck. And so many. He did so many deals with different people and stuff that.
How did he die, Lee? Can you tell us? I've never seen how he died. I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know whether I can.
You don't have to go. You don't have to say it. You don't have to go into it if you don't want.
Yeah, the family and stuff.
Okay,
it was tragic. Yeah. It was tragic death. Kind of thing. And because we thought he was in America, talking to the head guys, at CBS and everything. And when we didn't hear from him for about 10 days, we went, what's going on? Is the deal gone? What's saying? But we found out, he died. So it's terrible, And so you can imagine, multi-million-pound record deal, and all this stuff. And
what really affected you guys?
Did I tell you that the car incident?
No.
Couldn't even drive at the time, but this deal was for such a lot of money. I went and I want a red Ferrari, I want a red Ferrari, and couldn't even drive. So I got my cousin, and he rushed me. He pulled all the strings because there's a massive waiting list. He got me a black Ferrari. And then after this deal fell through, I'm telling you, and he hasn't talked to me since. It's still there, you know, like, even now he just can't even talk to me, So okay, so I messed up,
Oh
but
wow.
but yeah, but it was close, It's like we were kind of flavour of the month, and we'd have with CBS behind us and everything, and David Hemmings managing us, and he did great for Jim.
Yeah, that caused you guys a lot of which we'll get to. That definitely caused you guys a lot of
Yeah,
issues, which is a
that's
big
it.
break, which we'll get
And then all
about.
the legal stuff, like we thought
Yeah.
we'd be out of that. We had to kind of break up. We thought it'd be about a year or something, but they kept renewing the contracts, and they did it for 8 years till they forgot to renew it, and then we were back. But oh my god, that was hell. So that's why I really
Yeah.
appreciate doing it now so much. Like it's fantastic when you're free of that and you can just make music. And but it was tragic. All ends up really. It's a shame, but it could have been if it had worked, it would have been immense. Really, we would have had the machinery behind us as well. So oh well, there you go. I'll tell you what Froggy said to me, which was great. Like because I was really down. He said you're going to be down. Like all that money, and somebody like your age and everything. Must be a terrible like blow. For that deal now to fall through because everyone's going to like sue us and stuff. Who owns a band? Nobody knew. So he said, really terrible. He said, I can give you one bit of advice. He says, you can dust yourself down and keep on playing, and in the end, your audience will find you. And I think you're good enough to to do great things. And he said, and that's what you should do. And I went, hold on a minute, you said there were two things. What was the other one? He went, well, the other one, you could find a really high building and jump off.
There you go. That's some advice
So
you'll never forget.
that's the kind of advice you need, isn't it? Really. So it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we stick with the first option then?
And
Let's
you
go.
mentioned Froggy.
Yeah.
He was Metro Sound Studios, right in England. That's where you
That's the
actually
one.
recorded
Yeah.
the opening ritual, the
God
four-song
bless him. He
EP.
was such a character as well. Like amazing. And he's written songs for like people like Rod Stewart, and Cliff
Now,
Richard and George Hamilton the fourth and all these sort of people. But at the same token, like he was there like for Sabbath, in the early days, and Robert Plant as well. Like they all sort of bumped into each other and stuff. Great, amazing personality, he really was. God
when
bless
you
him.
guys were doing the opening ritual EP, was that where you ran into what was her name? Joanna Latham, the model
John Alive
for
for
Witchfinder General.
yeah, yeah.
Was that?
The wife knows, but anyway, I went off. I went off to the bathroom, like sort of before the session started. I came out, and this blonde in stocking suspenders uh, and very little else walked past, and I'm thinking, that's ridiculous. You're actually fantasizing in daylight now. This, you need to calm down because I thought I just had an hallucination. I really did. And I went to the control room. I went, you never believe this. And there she was, like draped over the desk, having the Witchfinder General like album sleeve, sort of inner sleeve done. She's like lying
She
on the
was
desk.
on a few of their album covers inside
Yeah,
and stuff.
I think the Death Panel. There's Death Panel. What was the other one?
Friends of Hell and Death
That's the one,
Penalty, right?
Friends of Hell.
Friends of
I'll kill
Hell.
me if I forget it. But yeah, she's on both of those. Absolutely amazing. But it definitely made the day interesting. I'll tell you that. Hard to concentrate as well.
Exactly. And you
Yeah.
guys had
Anything.
the
My, my, my guitar neck meant nothing at all. Like,
and if you think about it, it's kind of a historic event. Like you're talking about like with those you talk about the Friends of Hell album. For a lot of people who know that record, they can picture this image, and you were there for that
oh
little
yeah, they
time
were they
period when
were
they
in
were
there.
shooting it.
The guys. Like it was. Yeah, it was amazing. God bless her. Like definitely
Yeah,
cheered me.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that opening ritual EP, you guys, who did the logo on that cover? Because that's pretty much the logo you guys stuck with afterwards.
Yeah, I did. I designed that like when I was at like art college, and we kind of kept it ever since. Really, it's like the fans really like that one, and if we try to bring something else out that didn't take to it so much, we want the old logo back. So it's kind of been our logo forever, really. So yeah, it's kind of followed me around forever, hasn't it? Really, the logo and stuff. It's definitely definitely stands out anyway from a lot of other ones. So kind of
Definitely.
distinctive. So
And
yeah,
you mentioned earlier that with the Tommy Vance and stuff, and that so the Friday Rock Show, that was the radio show. We were talking to John Gallagher about this at one time too from Raven. Um, that was the BBC radio one, right? And that was from like 10 p.m. till midnight. But that was like 78 to 93, and that was a big deal for
it
bands.
was a major deal to get on that show. It really was. It had fantastic like listenership, and it was kind of like you know the main radio show that all the metal kids had listened to. Like bar none. And to get on that show and to get a session is what everybody really wanted. So we were, very privileged to get that. We did two. We did two for Tommy Vance. We did one during the when we was doing Sultan's Ransom as well. And you can get the album. Our Radio One Tommy Vance sessions as well. On High Roller, and it's kind of funny. When I said like cover versions, it's like we never did any cover versions, but just for that session, the radio station went, "Oh, go on, is there any cover version do?" And I thought, well, it'd have to be either Sweet or Slade, really. And so I really love Fox on the Run track by Sweet. So I said, why don't we do that? So the record label got in contact with Andy Scott at Sweet and said they're going to do the session. Have a word with Lee and see if there's like some angle there. And he agreed to come down and do a solo on it, which was fantastic. And so we were there at Meadowvale in Radio One, to where Radio One's main building is, recording studio. And all of a sudden we had a phone call, and he said like police sirens and everything. Woo! I said, "Is that Blockbuster or something?" It's not on their track. It sounds like you're doing Blockbuster or something. He goes, "No, that's the police. I've hit a car." I went, "Oh, you had a car accident. Okay, then I understand. So, but it's a shame because he'd have been on that session. That would have been cool. But he was a lovely guy to talk to, and he knew Richie Blackmore really really well, which is like my all-time hero.
Who was a big level of influence for you, also? Yeah, Richie.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, he did. Yeah, it was sweet when he toured. The last one with Richie, I went to see that, and that was support band. I really loved it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Not many of the original. He's just the original member, but I thought it was great.
But that also got you guys hooked up with Dave Wood. Those performances from Neat Records, which is obviously in the history of. So first of all, and you could verify this for me. The term "the New World of British Heavy Metal" that came from an editor, Al Lewis, and Jeff Barton from Sounds Magazine, when they did a review of one of the Metal Crusade shows that had like Samson on it,
Yeah, yeah.
Angel Witch.
The first time I ever saw that, new wave of British heavy metal, because like at the time there was like punk and new wave, and obviously Jeff wanted it to apply to heavy metal, so it's new wave of heavy metal. And Jeff really was. I used to follow everything he was sort of writing. Like if he said an album was good, 9 times out of 10 I'd love it. Like so I was a big fan of Jeff. And like sort of when we were kind of starting out, and we didn't, back to that time when we didn't have a singer. I still have enough balls to go down to Sounds Magazine. Like where's Jeff Barton? There he is. Like and hi Jeff. We're a band Cloven Hoof. Listen to that. Like and. He didn't have a singer on, but in the end, he really liked it anyway. Like, and he kind of mentioned us in his breaking through in '82 column. And Jeff was a very sort of respected sort of writer. He basically began Kerrang magazine, and he was sort of the Edda Hopper of like heavy metal. I think that's fair enough to say. Kerrang became sort of bigger than Sounds, so it's kind of the breakaway, and it was just specialising in metal. So it's kind of a heavy metal bible, really, at the time. It's lost its way since, may I add, but in the early days, it was fantastic, and it was great. Like Jeff used to feature our tracks like in his playlist, and when he took over the Tommy Vance show once, he was asked to do Tommy Vance session. He played Gator Gainer as well, so Jeff was a big champion of us at the time. So yeah, it was Jeff, very important person.
When you guys entered like Impulse Studios, which was owned by Dave Wood too, was over in Newcastle, right? What
Yep.
was your first impressions of Dave and Neat Records in general?
Well, it had always. I mean, at the time, we were really sort of reeling from the CBS deal that fell through, and because it would attract so much legal hassle for any label coming in, we were going to be hard put to getting an album out at all, because of all sort of legal crap that surrounded us. But Dave just said, we'll just meet it head on, like whatever. He said, we like your music, and we think we can do a good job, and you're all out metal, so that's good enough for us. So we'll sign you. At a time when people wouldn't sign us, there were another couple of labels that would have, and they were like big ones, but none of them want the legal aggravation, really, especially with a sort of new band. Probably okay, once you've sold a few million records or something, but nobody wants that sort of hanging over a band. And fair play, Dave Wood, he brought the album out, and we got our career kind of started. So, we in Whitley, but we were stopping in Whitley Bay, which is kind of a seaside resort, as much as they are up there, very cold. In the summer, it's still cold, but we had a great time and really enjoyed it. Apart from the travelling, it was quite a long way. Like Newcastle's a long way, like from where we are in the West Midlands. And when that first day, like we went up and the studio wouldn't work, I had to drive all the way back home and then go all the way back again. That's the thing I remember the most, really, the studio breaking down. But
And the
it
studio
was,
was above a theater, wasn't it? It was above an old theater.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of bands used it. It's like sort of Venom and Raven and all them sort of bands.
Satan, Tigers of Pang
Yeah,
Tang. Did you
yeah.
guys have relationships with those bands?
I really like the guys out of Tigers. I love Rob Weir. We've done quite a few gigs together, really, at different festivals and stuff. Sort of Bang Your Head and in Belgium. We got on. We had the same dressing room in Belgium. Absolutely lovely guys. And at Bang Your Head, when I nearly died, better explain that a bit. But the sun.
Was
We
that
were
the rainstorm?
No, this is the next one. The rainstorm was a breeze compared with the next one. So we went from torrential rain to super hot. It was absolutely mega hot in Germany that day. And we were at 1 o'clock and we had the sun right overhead. All the rest of the band had brains. Everyone's wearing like t-shirts and stuff. Not me. I'm in there full leather, leather pants, leather jacket, leather catsuit, much leather as I could possibly wear. So I went on there, rocking out like I normally do, and then there's like this big ramp goes into the audience. Like went running off down there. I got to the end of the ramp. Suddenly, I just felt the whole world go woo, like that spinning kind of Alfred Hitchcock vertigo thing spinning around. I'm going like shit, and I sort of got myself together. Then I sort of pedaled back to the drums, and the guitarist went, "You've gone completely white. Are you all right? What's the matter?" I went, "Right then, last number, no encore." He goes, "Why?" I went, "We finished laying down the lawn, that's it." He goes, "Why?" I went, "Because basically I'm going to throw up and pass out." So we did lay down the lawn, thank you. And I had a photograph, went off down the stairs, and then I completely went to the toilet, threw up, blacked out, and people found me just like on the floor, like covered in sick and everything. Picked me up, carried me off back to the dressing room. And
Leather and puke. That's pretty metal.
Angel, she packed me in ice. She got the from the drinks thing, all the ice, completely put it down my stage top and everything. I was covered in ice, and I was so far gone, I didn't even feel it. It wasn't even cold, and cold towels and everything. And geez, and Rob Weir, I remember going like, "Oh, you want to watch it? People that died of sunstroke." I went, "Don't remind me." And but in the end, I made a recovery, and Girls' School went on like next, and they were there's no fans. So one of them was hospitalised or something. She was like taking an ambulance, But I didn't go to hospital, but I was in a bad way. So there we go. But yeah, so all these things you do for metal. Would I do it again? Yeah, exactly. I've got
Yeah, of course.
metal, so
Maybe just less leather for that show.
just a bit.
Yeah, and that first record, you guys also we talked about like the song Nightstalker, which you guys kind of got lumped into We had that's Richard Ramirez who had the murders, which was like '84. I think it got
Yeah.
busted in
Oh, dear
'85.
me.
And that backtrack to you guys for that song because you guys had a lot of issues with the Nightstalker track from your album.
Yeah, I did. We had this weird fan letter, like it was quite kind of disturbed, like how much he identified with the Nightstalker character, like and stuff, and like him fantasizing, killing people, a cult, stuff, an absolute nutter. And she brought the letter in, and I went, "Oh, geez, yeah, he's a bit of a sicko, this one, isn't it?" Like. And I went, "Never mind." She went, "No, that's disturbed. If you're going to get letters like this, I don't really want to do the fan club anymore." Uh, and she destroyed the letter. So, and then you get Ramirez, and he calls himself the Nightstalker. Why can't he call himself something else? Why is it got?
Yeah, exactly.
We bought that track out that year, So it makes you think, and it scared the hell out of me. To be honest, I was thinking, well, did he really? Did he? Was he influenced by it? Like, and if so, I felt sort of responsibility. Really, like you got to watch. But in the end, crazy is crazy, isn't it? If they're not killing, they pick some reason to do it. Like so. I
It's going to be
veered
some
away.
reason, yeah.
Yeah, I veered away from the occult for a few albums, and it was more kind of science fiction based because it kind of left this kind of a sour taste in my mouth. But in the end, I realised, that it's ridiculous if you've got if the song's really good, and it's got a good storyline, we'll play it. Like crazy people are just crazy people, and you're not to blame. They're just wired up wrong. So
Exactly.
that kind of put me
We're,
off.
ac- we're actually going to play that song now, actually. We're going to play from the 1984 record, the song Nightstalker from the Cloven Hoof record. And we'll be right back with you, actually, in a couple minutes, man. And, well, here it is, Nightstalker off the 1984 Cloven Hoof self-titled record on Neat Records. We'll be back after this track on the Tampa Morgue. That was Nightstalker from the 1984 album off the debut. Um, so yeah, you guys, like you said, you kind of after that. You guys kind of changed things up a little bit. You know, first of all, Dave leaves the band. Who I was a big fan of Dave's vocals, which I know you were too.
Yeah,
Um,
and
then '86. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, I was just like thinking like Nightstalker, and it still served us well because we're on the Brutal Legend uh, video game for EA Games. Tim Schafer really liked it, so it was one of the Easter eggs on that, you know. So we got to be on Brutal Legend because of that, which is kind of cool, isn't it? You know, so with all your heroes and that. So that was great when that video game came out. You know, like I was pretty honoured with that. So fair play, Dave. You did a good job, you know. But
Well,
yeah,
plus
we
you guys had Crack the Whip was interesting too because there wasn't that your manager saying what was he told you guys to kind of make an ACDC kind of song, which I mean the song is totally a groupie kind of tune, but it's like that is a
Yeah, he
totally
did.
like
David Emmons for the first Radio One session. He goes, "Okay, you got this session coming up and everything." I went, "Yeah," and he goes, "I think you should do. Can you do one like ACDC?" He went because it's all right having these 6 minute and all these big epicy ones, 6 7 minutes. What's Passover? 9 minutes. He goes, can't you do a short one like ACDC? I went, it's 3 days away. Like, and he goes, so you write songs, so write a song. I got 3 days. And are you serious? And he goes, yeah. So I just had like this thing like lying around, and at the time he sounded like Star Trek or something, like it was sort of down, 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 down. So instead I just went down, 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 down. Give it the ACDC like full ringing out chords kind of thing. And the lads went, so this song, so where is it? I went, I haven't finished it yet. Like I've just got the bare bones. And he went, but we've got no time to rehearse. I went, we've got a day. Trust me, we'll do it. And so like the following day we learnt the song, and then day after we went and recorded it at Radio One. And people still do cover versions of that one right now. So yeah, maybe he was right then. But it's my
that's a
homage.
catchy.
It's
Yeah,
my homage to ACDC. It gave me a
you could
sleep.
totally hear it. When I heard that story, I was like, yeah, you could totally, even on that whole album, if you go through all those songs, that's the one that has that formation. You could totally feel the vibe there.
Yeah, that
Um,
get that live energy.
yeah.
In ACDC, the great thing about ACDC, obviously it's not how complicated they are. It's so on the nail they are. They're absolutely like robots, and it's you know tight isn't even the
It,
word. Like they're like a precision instrument, and that's what
you
makes.
know what you're going to get from ACDC. It's
Yeah, yeah.
ACDC. All right.
You get
All
on
right.
the nail, like, and it works every time. God bless them.
Now, were you more of a Bon Scott guy or Brian Johnson? Which I think, I mean, obviously they were both great in their
No,
period, so it's kind of a
well,
hard question because
you're
you.
brought up with Bon, aren't you? Like, but I love his. I love those
Yeah, I love Bon Scott.
vocals. Like I love his voice, and I love Dan McCafferty's out of Nazareth. Real
Yeah.
gravel power. I just love voices like that. Like so. But he's got the personality as well, hasn't he, Bon? And the thing that amazed me about Brian Johnson, it was like he doesn't talk in between songs. Like does it? Like that's original, isn't it? I've never seen a band that doesn't like interact with the audience. I mean, Bond did that brilliantly, but it's like right next song, and it'll blow your head off. So that was interesting. Is it?
Yeah, he's like one of those guys. You talk about when you replace singers, which you've done a lot of. When you replace singers, it's kind of a hard thing, right? But with Brian Johnson, I mean, of course, I think the story with Back in Black was that Brian Johnson said that he felt like he was almost possessed by Bon Scott when that record was written or done. I think that's kind of the story, if I remember correctly, when I was a kid, that was given. But both guys, I mean, obviously had success in that band. And that's something you've dealt with. Like we talk about singers, I know because in '86 you guys put out the Fighting Back. You guys had what Robert Kendrick on that one. Now was that just like a temporary thing for that record, the live record, or
Just see how it did turn out. Because originally he was in the band Budgie. The band Budgie. He was a guitarist in Budgie, and he was also in Trapeze. Trapeze, and that was the band that it was Glenn Hughes' band, and uh, Mel Galley out of Whitesnake, and he was a guitarist with Trapeze, like originally, like kind of thing. But he sent in the demo time. I thought, hey, the guy's got a really, really good voice. But with metal audiences, it's amazing because they know what they want. Like, and if they don't, if you don't give them what they want, you're going to lose the support there. So at least with us, we've always had like really great singers, and people have just got their favourites, and there's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing Iron Maiden or anybody else who changes singers can do about it. Like the fans will just whatever they like, and it's still a tribute to the band. At least they like the material. It's just that you can't hear that singer anymore. and
And for those who don't know, you do write most of the material, so you're still getting the Cloven Hoof sound. Like you're still getting that writing. It's what you write because you write the lyrics, you write pretty much all the music you have since day one. So it's and
always have
you've always somehow pulled it off with the singers, changing singers because you had like the next guy. So you have what we mentioned, you had Robert, in the band, and that ended, and
then we
then
had Russ.
you got in '88. Yeah, you hooked up with on Heavy Metal Records, and you also had Andy Wood on drums, who actually introduced you to Russ
Andy
Torres.
Wood's a guitar player. Woody is a smashing guy. Yeah, he bought in. The singer we was trying out, it wasn't really working. We had Guy Beatty Mead, and he was a producer. He'd worked with like Motorhead and like Whitesnake and them sort of people. And he said that this vocalist you've got, he sounds good sort of live, but in the studio it's really unforgiving. And I think you need somebody, better than this guy. And so Woody went, well, the singer I've been working with, like in Tredegar, which is the ex-members of Budgie. It was Ray Phillips out of Budgie on the drums, Tony Borge on guitar out of Budgie. I mean, that apart from Burke Shelley, that would have been Budgie. So Tredegar. So Russ was their singer, and he said, but he said on the tour bus, like Russ was always playing that Cloven Hoof like first album. He's got that album. He loves that album. And he said, and if I rang him up, he'd definitely be interested in auditioning for the band. So I said, well, go on then. Like why not? And so Russ kind of turned up, and he hit these immense, powerful notes. Like we knew he was the right guy, like right away. And and we
Yeah,
did sort of Dominator and then Sultan's Ransom together. He did a really good job.
that's right. Because you had Joe Brown on the drums and Andy Wood on the
Yeah,
guitar, and then you had Russ singing, and the Dominator, which you mentioned that was where you kind of separated from the occult themes, and that's is that why you chose to do the concept at first because it was kind of an easy way to move forward away from
yeah,
that for a
I
while.
think so. It's like it needed a sort of a bombastic kind of statement, like and this is us now. That was us before. We were cult based, but this is a new band and this is a new direction for us. So uh, I kind of wrote a set of songs, and they all seem to belong together. Like, and I'm thinking that's a storyline would just go right through this. So in the end, it just entered sort of a way of combining all the tracks under one sort of roof, really, and it was all telling the story of the rise and fall of this kind of intergalactic kind of tyrant called the Dominator. I was influenced at the time as well because there was a thing in the paper. It seems incredibly cruel. They grafted this ear on the back of a little mouse. I thought,
Genetic
no,
engineering, right?
yeah, that's like Frankenstein territory. And I'm thinking, just because scientists can do something, morally, should they do it? Like, and I was thinking, well, where would it all lead? And I came up with like a super race of like genetic engineers, and instead of creating the perfect organic life form, what they ended up is engineering the ultimate kind of dictator, and he kind of plugs into their main computer banks and becomes this sort of galactic tyrant, this monster called Dominator. So really, the main sort of meaning behind Dominator, it's my sort of take on the dangers of genetic engineering. You know, sometimes should we, just because we can, should we? There's definitely sort of moral kind of questions to consider with that. So it just seemed an interesting concept.
Yeah, and the album, so the album cover was actually done by John Blanche, but that was actually a magazine cover, right? From like
Yeah, it
a
was originally
magazine
white
called The
dwarf.
White Dwarf.
Yeah, I imagined when I saw the sort of Amazon sort of warrior queen thing, and I was thinking, "There's my warrior of the wasteland. That's what she should look like." And so I went, "I'd like that cover. I'd like the warrior of the wasteland, like the hero figure, this sort of Amazon sort of warrior kind of thing." And they got in contact with John Blanche, and he very kindly let us use the artwork on the cover. I think it's very striking, and it looks great. A lot of people sort of went, "Is she the Dominator?" No, she's not the Dominator. The Dominator appeared later on Age of Steel. That saw on
Yeah, I
it.
was going to ask you that cover.
Like
Yeah,
he appeared later on. That's him. That's how I imagined it. But she's a hero. She's a warrior of the wasteland kind of thing.
did you get any blowback from fans from changing from the because a lot of us when we're young we have the Merciful Fates and of course the club you have these you're obsessed with. I know myself, Venom, Cloven Hoof, all this. You love this theme. So
Yeah,
like when you guys kind of changed it up, did you get a little bit of backlash from
yeah, we
some
got
of the
a
some of the
little bit.
fans?
I understood it as well, but with that Ramirez thing, I was thinking, well, you've got to be a bit more responsible. But at the end of the day, it was stupid. It didn't just carry on, just do your stuff, really. So a lot of the occult element, they still love that album. It's like so in a lot of ways, like it brings us on to the new album. I wanted, I see all our albums. They're all like they've all got their own identities. I hate safe albums. I want albums to sound different, and they should have different moods and stuff, and not just be the same old song regurgitated out. Like I like to mix it up. Like, and so we've got quite a bandwidth, of work. Really, we'll have like heavy song, epic songs. There'll be like crowd pleasers that go down well at the gigs and everyone can sing and chant along. So I like to mix it up a lot. But with this album, I wanted to with Heathen Cross, try and get the back to the old days, that sort of really dark, heavy kind of sound.
It
Uh,
definitely sounds the most like the first record to me that you guys have done. Like,
Thank you. That worked, and I definitely set out with a criteria. It's got to have back to the old days when we recorded the instruments like live in a studio, because that's why I love the early albums like Paranoid and all that kind of stuff. It's got energy, and it's not just playing songs. It's you perform. There's a performance from having the band there, and there's that live kind of energy. So we wanted to capture that, but with good production. So that's what we wanted to do, and we wanted to sort of I don't know, like a middle finger to all the processed bands, because it's kind of like
yeah.
cheating, isn't it? Really, like they
Did
just
you
let.
guys strip down this a little bit? This new one, which will
Yeah,
on
it
the new
is. Yeah,
record.
to leave lots more room for the instruments to breathe, so you can, there's a lot of space in there, and it's not so cluttered with drums, and that's why I love the drums on this one as well. We wanted to keep it solid, like going back to ACDs, just to keep that sort of solid power, so you can let everything breathe. Because if you have the drummer playing too cluttered, playing everything inside, it just clutters the sound. It sounds more heavy, direct, and I wanted to get back to that, and I wanted the songs to be more on this one, hard hitting, uh, the normal, and with that space. So trying to, it's just dark, sort of dark and heavy, isn't it? Really, it's back to that, really, and hopefully
And you
everybody.
definitely caught that on it.
Production's great on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
He's
it's
a
heavy,
great
very
producer,
heavy.
Engel. Yeah, I knew he'd love it though, because we like the same kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
like
it's
he said, "So what do you want?" And I told him exactly what I want on this album. And we went in there from day one with a list of EQs that he wants the drums with this, he wants the bass with that, with all the guitars. We had a great big list, and our guy in the studio, it's got to be this, that, and the other. And if it isn't, he'll know. Okay, so
exact.
we followed what he gave in the first place, and it worked like a charm. It just sounded great in the first place, like in the studio, it sounded amazing. Guitars recorded at the same time, both guitarists playing, and get that sort of live energy. And yeah, I'm real pleased with it, like, and hopefully we've got a good formula now. We go back and hope for the next album will have that sort of immediate power
Well, you
again.
guys, and you've been through a lot. You talk about. So you go to 1989. You guys did the Sultan's Ransom record, right? And you guys during this time period, you guys are starting to deal with a lot of shit. I
Mm.
mean, and you also, and as I've heard you say, the band actually never broke up. It's
No,
just
we get
you
out
had a
the
like deal.
yeah, just to get out these deals, and I kept renewing them. And we thought it'd be over in about a year. I kept renewing them. 8 years. It was just hell on earth.
How excited were you when you saw they forgot to renew it?
Oh, incredible. Our lawyer went, "Hey, I've got some good news." He rang me up. What? He goes, "You're out the deal." Well, that's just as well because I've got more songs. Like I've built a most massive stockpile of songs. Unbelievable. I said at least I can get some of these recorded now. So yeah, it was. We were so sort of over the moon, really. I mean, I can't put into words that sort of
So
freedom.
it took 10 years.
It's like being prisoner of Zenda or something, like you kind of reach.
Yeah, but it took you guys 10 years to get out of it, to get out of that. And you guys, like you said, you guys started noticing too, right? The internet's starting to kick up, and you guys are starting to see how influential Cloven Hoof was. If you start looking, you're like, oh, you're waiting to make this next record because, first of all, Sultan's Ransom, that's a killer album. It's a lot of a mixture of different kind of sounds in that record. You got thrash, you got the old classical metal, you got Hungarian scales going on, you got a bunch of different stuff going
Very
on in that
eclectic
record.
album, yeah.
Yeah, but you're basically, you have all this stuff going on. You're waiting for this finally to end. So after 10 years, it ends. And like I said, you're starting to see the influence your band has had on other bands and stuff. I mean, it had to be. I could just imagine that it had to be great. And now, do you own? Because I know you owned at one point. You owned all the material except for the first record. Do you now own the rights to the first record now also?
No, there's no way I can get that back. Sony own that now.
Is that the only one you don't own now?
Yeah, I don't own that one. There's two I don't own. But what I did, I spent every penny I had, to buy back like all the publishing. So I did do that, and so there's three altogether. But the first album, definitely I won't get that back. But
We're going to play a song off Sultans in a second here. And
fantastic!
I just want, and
Which one?
during that time, right, you guys we're going to play D.V.R., which is actually Death Valley Racer,
Oh
right?
yeah, Death Valley Racing. Yeah, yeah. It's
And at
kind of a
that time, you
speed.
guys have like Ozzy coming to your shows. And yeah, that's actually one of the fastest songs on that record, right? I mean,
That one travels a bit. That one does. But it's
yeah,
amazing. Like we played it in Greece. It was, and at the front, the guy at the front, and he went, "That vocal was wrong." Like I'm like, "What's it?" The fans are so brilliant. They'll pick anything out at all. But to literally be hanging over the front of the stage, he went, "That vocal wasn't wrong." I went, "Yeah, you tell him." And they'll pick
they're your
out.
biggest creads.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to play. You've got to give them. You've got to give the fans what they want. And so we. There's only one reason the band exists, really, and that's for the fans. Like a band's nothing without the fans, and that's why we always give 110%, and we always hang out with them after shows and stuff, for sign autographs and do all the photos and stuff. We do it anyway. I mean, some bands like lock themselves away after shows. We don't. We want to see them because the thing is, they give their love and they turn up and stuff, and and it's an honour to hang out with them because they're our kind of people anyway. But it's great.
Plus, you're taking the feedback too, don't you? You
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
take in the feedback.
exactly. It's exactly that. You can find out exactly what they love about your music, and then try and match their expectations, really. And we've done a lot of musical sort of research like over the years, with the fans. So hopefully I managed to give them what they want, and what they expect.
We're going to play the song now, but you now at your shows, you guys were having Lemmy was coming and hanging out, Ozzy. Did you ever deal with like King Diamond or any of those guys coming and hanging out at your guys' gigs?
Lemmy was great because he had the same producer, the guy that did Dominator, Guy Biddymead. Uh, it's weird this is, but was it Donington? I think it was Donington. I just went to the toilet. Donnie's standing there, sort of looking around. Lemmy, okay. And I went, still having a pee, both of them. And I went, how did you get on with Guy Biddymead? And he went, I didn't get on with him at all. Like he said, he tried to make my bass sound like a bass instead of my bass. And he said I went in the studio and he goes, does all the patchwork, all the leads and stuff. And he went, that isn't my sound. And he goes, yeah, it is. It's what's coming out the amp and everything. And he said, I just went in and like unplugged some of these patchwork. Anyway, that's what my bass sounds like. He was as smart as they come. Very astute, and I thought that was brilliant. And the fact is, he knew his stuff. And what a unique sound.
Yeah,
Basically everything on 10 except the bass. Take that off. Genius.
me and Ed saw we saw Motorhead. What was it? His it was probably one of Lemmy's probably like 5 more shows he played. We saw him in
Yeah, he
Orlando.
died like that the day after Christmas, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it
well,
was right.
His
Years there, yeah.
Yeah, so
We
we
saw
saw
him.
him. We saw him like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before in Orlando, Florida, and you could tell he was frail. But I'll tell you what, he might have looked it, but
Still
he
gave
played
100%.
still
holding
give
that
it.
Rickenbacker.
Yeah,
Man, I mean, because as I'm a bass player, Rickenbackers are heavy. And when I say heavy, I mean to stand there with around you, it doesn't matter what size strap you have on you.
exactly.
They're heavy to hold. They're heavy to play too. They sound great, but I always didn't like them because they were just too heavy. You know what I mean? Like and I'm a big guy, and they were still a heavy bass. But yeah,
Yeah.
we saw him, and
So
yeah,
he's a warrior,
I told
So
I told Tony, I go, man, he looks frail. And then unfortunately, he passed away a few weeks later. But I'm glad we got to see him
Yeah.
because we almost missed that show.
I've
yeah,
seen Motorhead. They've never been bad, man. Every time I've seen them, they've always been killer.
yeah. I mean, with Lemmy, it was like his kind of style. Got me playing chords, and especially during the early days of the band when we didn't have a extra rhythm guitarist. I play a lot of chords and stuff, as well as the runs. But it's because of Lemmy, really, that sort of influence. So he's very, very sort of a one-off, wasn't he? An innovator. So
You also got to wonder now, and Lee, you'll probably agree with this. Like when we were growing up, I mean, we're a little younger than you, but we're still all in that bracket of like, you got to wonder now, like, where is, we had the Ozzies or the Halfords. Like, I don't know what's next now. Like, I look at like what's for my kids who are like, they're into Alice Cooper and stuff, my kids, but they're young.
mm,
But like, I just don't know when they get older who are going to be those guys that we had all over our room and posters, and all that
yeah,
stuff. I don't know. It's weird times now in the music world. I don't know who your next guy is that takes that place of, of Lemmy and people like that.
yeah. I think I feel very sort of privileged to sort of growing up during that kind of time period with the new wave of British heavy metal and stuff, and getting to see these incredible bands that came before new wave of British metal, uh, like Sabbath, and you saw like UFOs and yeah, just magnificent bands and like Yes and that, and it does make you think. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of bands do absolutely sound the same, don't they? And I think
Yeah.
that's why we really rebelled against the process sound. Bands need to like forget that, go back to the old days, go in the studio, four or five of you, and play that stuff live in the studio because that's a real band. You don't want people sequencing bass drums and all of this crap. Go back to original metal sound and maybe draw inspiration from those bands and take it forward because it's not happening, is it, at the moment? And that's what they should do. They should
Many
really,
bands have never been in the same room together.
exactly. How can it sound like a natural band when you're all going at different times? You'll never get that vibe and that energy, and we've proved that, like with the new album and stuff, like it's got a sort of live vitality to it, and it comes out. It sounds like the guitars are in the room with you, shouting at you,
Yep.
and you don't get that from being processed because it's artificial. It's not a real band. So I'm a big I'm a big fan of that, to be honest.
I agree 100%. We're going to play something actually off your Sultan's Ransom album now from '89. It's D.V.R, which stands for Death Valley Racer. And it was all released on FM Revolver Records. But we're going to be back with Lee Payne, talk some more about Cloven Hoof and the new record coming up very soon. And this track is D.V.R off of Sultan's Ransom. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue after this track. There you go, Cloven Hoof with D.V.R. off the 1989 record. So and then obviously 2001, you take this break, you take this gigantic break. First of all, what are you doing during this? Are you just still writing? Are you just like kind of going about your personal life? Just
Yeah,
not?
I
Are you
mean,
still like?
the thing is, it's like faced with that terrible sort of dilemma. You have to, if you're going to bluff it out, you need to back it up. Like they need to know that you're not going to be held by this deal anymore, and we're not getting back together. And you think we've got to honour this contract. Well, we don't exist anymore. So we all went and got like different jobs. So I went back to start, graphic designer, and that's what I was trained for when I kind of left school. So I went back to doing that. I worked for a newspaper. It's a big sort of independent newspaper in the West Midlands called Express the Star. I was a graphic designer for them. It was really cool, really, because there's a lot of people from that sort of department. There were a lot of musicians, and we had a fantastic sort of jazz sort of trumpeter. His name was Derek, and he always wanted to go to Bourbon Street, obviously because it was like jazz, just his mecca, really. And when I went and played, when I got to play in New Orleans, I did that little homage to go to Bourbon Street,
I
uh,
love it there, man.
which
Yeah.
I did. And well, there's a story to this, but because they won't let me drive the van because I'll kill us all because I drive on the wrong side of the road. Uh, I get it. I got to sleep all to come back from. I think it was Detroit, and we went from Detroit all the way down to New Orleans. And the guys were absolutely half dead. And they got to the hotel and they just flagged out on the bed. I was wide awake because I had a night's sleep and everything. But I thought it was 10 o'clock at night. So I went, I'm going to go and see Bourbon Street. I'm going to, I'm going there for to honour my sort of long departed mate of mine, a jazz musician, and I'm doing it for him. So I went to find this Bourbon Street, And I got there, and it was a scene out of Thriller. You know, like there was like mist everywhere, and there's all these crackheads coming all out the alleyways and shit. You know, like, and I'm
Can't
like,
go in the alleyways, man.
oh
That's the
wow,
real New
you know, what
Orleans.
do I do? And one of them went, "Hey, that dude's packing." It wasn't. I didn't have a gun. It was my sunglasses, basically. So I thought I was armed. So it basically kind of saved me, I guess. But stick your chest out anyway. And sort of walk. So I'm walking through past all these crackheads, and I'm going like, okay, I can either risk the alleyway at the end covered in shadows. It looks like something out of a vampire movie. Or do I walk past them again all the way back? I was going like, yeah, let's go and meet the vampires. So I went into the alleyways, and apart from bumping into a few like crackheads by the bins and everything, it wasn't the safest place, I know. But I sort of was walking for ages, and I had to laugh because right in front of me was a great big graveyard, and on the right hand side was a voodoo shop. I went, this is great. It can only happen
Yeah.
to me. So I took the singer there the next morning. You check out this shop; it's great. And I told him, I went, you know, you went to Bourbon Street. You know, like, are you crazy? You can't do stuff like that. You know, like, and I went, well, I know that now.
That's
But,
the rules of Bourbon Street. They tell you don't go in the alleyways. I've been
yeah,
there many
because
years.
like
They say that's
America,
the one thing you
because
don't
you do
do.
this shit in England, but you can't do it here. You know, like you can't go off walking through there. But hey, it was a lesson learned, and thank goodness for sunglasses. That's what I can say.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you put the band back together in 2001. So the Eye of the Sun record, that was actually supposed to be recorded by the Dominator lineup. Is that true? At one time?
Yeah, well, you know, there were a lot of songs were kind of written around that time. And what happened was we thought it'd be just with the Dominator lineup, which I would have liked, but people's change and like people's agendas, you know, they're not the same as they were. So really, the sort of the fire that was there during those albums, after all those years, you know, I'm thinking I'm not getting the same vibe really. And Russ the singer, he moved to Spain, so that's logistic problem, but we would have coped with it. You know, we could just like meet up for the gigs or something. Uh, but it just wasn't working. You know, like, the chemistry wasn't really there. So I had a word with Tom Galley, who's is a great sort of producer, and he's sort of Brian May and Scott Gorham and all these different superstars a bit on doing his phenomenon. Do you know his phenomenon albums?
Yeah.
Um,
And you wanted to work with him, didn't you, since the 80s, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, Scott Gorham actually stayed at Tom's house, you know, like for quite a period and stuff. And but he was telling me he was like playing like at Abbey Road on those sessions when Brian May played on his like album and stuff. And he's like playing table tennis with Freddie Mercury and Paul McCartney came in and played you know, I'm just thinking, there's him and his brother like playing table tennis with Freddie Mercury and Paul McCartney. How fantastic! So, and he's got a sixpence. He's got a couple of his plectrums, these sixpences, you know, and he's been in the kitchen. It's good job, you know. Like you know, I'm completely trustworthy, but I've seen those sixpences. I'm thinking, you know, no, I won't nick them. But you know, he's he knows his stuff. Tom does, and you know, he said, well, you know, you have to recruit again, and there was a tour there with Tony Martin, who I was interested in trying to get Tony Martin. I must be honest, and there was Matt Morton and another singer, and they were going around doing like metal kind of cover versions, kind of thing. And Tony Martin was great, but the real high range, this Matt Morton was hitting these. I was thinking, but actually, he's got more of a Cloven Hoof song, sort of voice sound to it. So I ended up having like Matt Morton in the band, and Andy Shortland, great guitar player, and a superb session drummer, Lynch Radinsky, and we did Eye of the Sun. And it's a shame I never went on the road with those guys because it was a really great band, you know, really superb musicians. And one of the reasons was, you know, the old band members really sort of went, oh, give it another shot, you know, like, you know, and they kind of talked me into it. Well, that's the biggest, you know, never go back. Really, you shouldn't go back. Uh, and my biggest regret is I didn't go on the band with those guys because it was a fantastic band that I had the Sun lineup. So hey, there you
And you
go.
may have you You even demoed the Russ demoed the vocals, right? For you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Jesus had you actually did demos.
He
Yeah.
actually did. I went all the way to Spain with a. I took a Mac G4 and filled my suitcase up full of recording gear and went all the way over to Spain. Well, my girlfriend's mum and dad had this house in Saint Laurent in France, so I went from France all the way to Barcelona. But to get where he was, uh, the train was off, and I had to catch 7 coaches. Man, it took me 8 hours to get there, and I remember like being cooped up in his little apartment in Spain with heat, unbelievable heat. Like trying to get these vocals like demoed up, which we did in the end. And then I went back to England, but the trouble was like Russ was kind of committed to this life in Spain at the time, so that was it. But in the end, when we made Either Son, all of them, we can commit now. It'll be better, and it never is. It wasn't there. There wasn't the same energy there and the same magic as Sultan's Ransom and Dominator, and that's the truth of the matter. You'd like it, but people change, and it's like you can feel the dynamics like in a band, and you're used to like a comfortable pair of shoes, isn't it? Like you don't need to think about it, but the chemistry just wasn't there. But hey, we tried it. I tried it for the fans, but it was sadly not to be. And we did like the definitive, but uh, it wasn't as good as the old days.
Well, I'm going to play actually one of the tracks from that, but I want to ask you: is it a truth to the actual name of the album was actually going to be "Absolute Power Corrupts Absolutely"? Is
It
that
was.
like just another
It
myth, or is
absolutely
that?
was, yeah. And somebody rang. Sorry, sent me a text. Like it's one of our albums or something. I went, oh, sorry about that. Then okay, then I'll call it something else. Because somebody else already had that. And I'm thinking, well, it's only like one song, and we can change album titles. It doesn't really hurt. So instead, I added. There's a song about kind of Inca sacrifice called "Eye of the Sun." So that's what we chose as the album title
Which,
uh, because it
which
was
"Eye of the Sun" was
nice
actually on "Fighting Back," the live album
as
too.
well. Yeah, yeah. We did a different version, so you can see. It's like sometimes you're there, but you're just not completely happy with it, and sometimes you have to revisit a song to get it to sound how you wanted. Because sometimes you just don't capture how you envisaged, and so we went and did it on that one. And that was more like I was after really.
Well, I'm going to play "Horror of Babylon" here. Is there anything you can tell us about that tune, or is it?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Horror Babylon. That's a cool one. I remember Dave Ling of sort of Metal Hammer really liking that song a lot. It was kind of inspired really by the Omen film. That ending when he goes in and he kind of sees like the in that tomb
Yeah.
and you know the Whore of Babylon, and I went, "Yeah, that's fantastic." So then I kind of had the Whore of Babylon motif, but there's also sort of reference of Lilith, and Lilith was the with Adam at the start, but she went off and copulated with demons, so she's the mother of all demons. The kind of and sort of superstitious, the night hag, like claims young babies kind of thing. A very unsavoury person. So she's Lilith is the Whore of Babylon. So yeah, it's cool. Enjoying that kind of thing. I mean, it's a I mean that's the main thing. That's a great thing with music. Really, I think storyline is immensely important. Well, it is for me.
And you write the chorus, so you kind of come up with the chorus first and build a song around it.
Yeah,
Is that?
absolutely. Yeah, that's what's probably different, really, with the Cloven Hoof to a lot of metal bands. Most bands sort of are riff based and they'll sing on top of riffs, but at the end of the day, it's hard breaking away from the riff, and like the singer ends up singing the riff, and it can end up a bit like a nursery rhyme. So, but music should be much more versatile and imaginative than that. So I do what the classical composers used to do. It's like they'd write music to fit the to tell the story and fit the melody. So I write music to fit what the hell the song's about, you know. So I think it's much more logical to do that, you know. So you get the atmospheres and the layering by setting music to the lyrics. So you know, a little bit like a lot of prog bands do. I think Under the Hood, Cloven Hoof's kind of a prog band, but we're too heavy and aggressive to be a prog band, so it ends up as metal. But I think because I loved Genesis and Yes and all those kind of bands, I think they had a big influence on me. So especially with like storylines and making things sound epic. So yeah, so Under the Hood, Cloven Hoof probably are sort of an aggressive heavy metal version of a prog band, just as like Rush with a link between like sort of Genesis and hard rock, with a link between Rush and heavy metal, maybe.
Yes.
And a lot of people that's what kind of power metal is. So we've always been that. So I guess they're right. You know, pioneers of power metal. Yeah, we could have been.
Yeah, I've heard you guys. You guys
Style,
definitely get that tag often. You know, I've heard that you guys definitely have that pioneers of power metal tag going to the name. Um, yeah, and we're gonna play Horror Babylon now from the Eye of the Sun album from 2006, and we'll be back with Lee Payne after this track on the Tampa Morgue.
The sea
that was Horror Babylon off Eye of the Sun record. And 2008, you guys put out the definitive part one. You guys actually recorded 24 songs, but released 11 on that
Yeah,
session.
that's it. There's a whole sort of there's another album sort of lying around there, um, but I think the I think Russ didn't finish off the vocals on a few of the songs anyway. So and he's that's not gonna happen now. But it's a shame really because he was kind of my Russ in many ways was my best man, best mate, and I was his best man at his wedding and stuff, and we were really sort of super close buddies. But the only way to describe it really was he kind of. After doing Sultan's Ransom, we did Sultan's Ransom, and when we were tied up with that legal crap we had, he went and auditioned for Iron Maiden, and he got the audition based on Sultan's Ransom, and like I kind of schooled him during that as well. Like they sent him all these Iron Maiden tracks and stuff to learn, and I went okay. I said so, I think you'll do great. Like they're going to really like your range because, with Bruce's range and stuff, like you're going to you could be able to hit anything Bruce can, in terms of the high register and stuff. I think you'll do great. And then he got told by people. We've had like some really famous people come for the Maiden audition, and they just turned to jelly when they did it. And kind of Steve made sure like they had like, the Maiden banners and everything in there. So if they were going to be intimidated,
It was
you
going to
know,
happen in front of
yeah,
them.
right away. So they know this isn't for them, and I think that's pretty good psychology. Really, it eliminates a lot of people that way. But Russ, he took it. He took it the other way, and I swear this is true. And it was, did the first few songs and everything, and sort of looking around and getting to, oh yeah, sounding good and everything. Dave Murray, sort of give him sort of knowing wink and everything. And then Steve goes, right then, we'll do Nummy, which is what they call Number of the Beast. And okay, Number of the Beast. And Steve and Russ went, I want my sandwiches. He sat down there, he got his sandwiches out. Steve buggered off, played on video games. Everybody like dispersed and stuff. And Russ said, do you think I could have blown it?
Yeah.
What planet are you on? No one stops a band like Iron Maiden for some sandwiches, mate. I mean, what were you thinking of? He went, well, I didn't know, I
Got
didn't
some
want to appear
balls.
like in awe. I went, there's a way of doing that, but making them stop while you ate your sandwiches, mate. Those sandwiches have definitely cost you a real good shot at that. So yeah, but whether it was psychological sort of that, it kind of had a real sort of adverse effect on him, and he wasn't the same person after that. Really, I think it took a lot of his confidence, and it sort of made him sort of I don't know, like, it's the drink really, and it kind of ruined him. So, but hey, there's only one way. If you go down that route, it's only you can get yourself out of that, kind of thing. And I did absolutely everything I could to sort of bring him out of it, and you know, forget that. Get back into metal. Let's do what you're supposed to do. But it did a lot of psychological sort of damage to him, and you know, I've sent him a few messages. He just doesn't return them, just to see how he is, kind of thing. But there you go. These things happen in the business, don't they?
And you've always been, I've heard, you say before, you've always been kind of, you're so devoted to the music that, and I've heard a lot of the member changes that you've had is pretty much due to wives or girlfriends or these kind of things. And you've pretty much always put metal first.
Yeah, it's like I just got to the stage. Really, it was like the first album we had. Like it was Steve was girlfriend told him to leave the band. I don't want you going all over the world. You've got to get your pipe and slippers and settle down. And once he did, then the drummer gave in to his girlfriend, and that was it. Kind of thing. And you see it so much I mean, it's just how much does metal and how much does making music mean to you? Well, for me, it meant everything, and I became sort of quite cynical. Really, I used to go like, well, leave the guitars, leave the dogs, and see ya. Because like with music, music's my life, and next to that, it's who I am, and I can't change for anything. So unless you have that, uh, you're driven by that sort of passion for the music, then that happens. But it wasn't ever going to happen to me. And hey, I've been around all this time, and I'm still doing it. So metal still means exactly the same, you know, as it always
And
did.
you've been through a lot of shit. I know you had to pawn off all your gear at one time just to fight the fucking legal charges. You had to deal with all
Yeah.
that. But
But
you
yeah,
actually got your bass
all
back
my
though.
guitars. And the thing I loved most in the world was my white. This is one for you there. Yeah, I had a white Chris Squire limited edition bass, and when I bought it, it was the most expensive bass about, like it was about like 1,200, 12, 1,200 pound, and I had to sell it, and I loved it. Like it was just the best neck and everything. It was just brilliant. I sold that. I sold Gibson Explorer. I sold Gibson Flying V. I sold Spectre bass. Like about 8 or 9 guitars I had to sell just to buy a publishing back. And that same guitar, then I had to pay 4 grand to buy that bass back. So, so it's not
Crazy.
cost effective, is it? So, when I saw
Uh,
it, I got Danny, the drummer, to bring it back from America, so I can have that Rickenbacker, and it's still there. I wouldn't sell it for anything now, but
it's amazing you got it back though. I mean, that's
it
amazing that
really
you
is.
kept the
Yeah,
guy's number and got it
it's the
back.
one. That's the one.
Yeah,
And
that's
like it belonged. It was always going to be mine. But there's no neck quite like it or anything. I just love that. I love that bass so much. But at the time, I had to sell it, so I did what was, put the band first, and that's it. Like I've always done. You know.
that's the and you guys you kept on rolling too because what you got so 2010 you put out the Throne of Damnation EP, but then you got Joe Wellen in the band, who he so how did he get involved?
Yeah, like, Joe, God, what a story Joe's is. It's crazy that was. He's a phenomenal guitar player, and there's a guitar teacher kind of where we're from our neck of the woods. Simon Lees. He used to be in Budgie. Phenomenal guitarist, and he's probably like the best guitar teacher like in the area. He's the man. So it was like I had a word with him about who's the best student you've ever had, and he said that's easy. He said Joe Whelan, best guitarist ever taught, and I went, okay, that's good. And at the same time, I was in the paper, a local paper, going like, I need a really good guitarist. And Joe asked at the local music shop, a guy called Mickey Brooks. He produced the very first Cloven Hoof demo ever. He definitely picked the right person to ask, and he said, I'd like to have a go at this Cloven Hoof, like audition. He said, but I don't know any of them. He said, well, you do now. I'll ring up there now, and I'll get you audition. So he turned up, absolutely phenomenal, brilliant, brilliant guitarist. So and he also sings really well, but I didn't know that at the time anyway. And we were in where was it now? We were somewhere like Cyprus, or I don't know where it was. We were somewhere abroad, and Joe went, "You'll never believe this." He went, "I've I decided to send him for the X Factor." I went, "What, that TV thing?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he went, "Yeah, but I've got through." I went, "You're joking?" He goes, "No." Oh, shit. And I said, "Well, metal fans, they won't like that, will they?" And he said, "Well, probably not." But he said, "If I get something from it," he said, "Would you and Chris help me out as a backing band?" And I went, "Well, to help you out, yeah, yeah, as long as nobody knows it's us." and he had these gigs. No lie, it's the closest thing you will ever get to being the Beatles. There was like the audience is 98% young girls, like, and the audience was very easy on the eye. Anyway, so we helped him out, like in his career and stuff. But at the time, we didn't even know he sang. I didn't even know you sang. And but he did a really good job. And so the fact was, when Russ had this meltdown, the studio was booked, and Joe went, "You're just gonna, you're gonna lose all the money anyway." He said, "Let me have a go." So we recorded "Resist or Serve," and Joe did a good job with them vocals, to be quite honest, and it turned out really well. But especially considering they weren't written for him, they were written for Russ to do, because a lot of the time I kind of write for the strengths of the vocalist, like uh, until now, because we've got Harry, and Harry sings anything great. So in a way, you are kind of restricted by what you can come up with, because you know what the limitations are with singers. But for Harry, there aren't any limitations. I can just come up with whatever I like, and Harry will sing great.
I heard you say something once that it was what was it that there's a difference between a singer and a performer. Like there's a great singer and a good singer.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
great singer
yeah.
puts himself into the
A great singer.
into the song.
Yeah, yeah. A normal singer will just sing a melody line. He'll just sing it. A great singer acts it out like an actor, and you'll believe every word that he's singing. There's, you kind of, the way you put it over you, it's as if it's happening to you, and right away, Harry, it's like he's there, and he's, you can believe it's happening to him, and that's the difference of a great singer, because normal singers just sing a melody, but he acts it, he sells it. It's an act, it's a performance. It's almost like, you hear
He's
an actor.
possessed or something.
Yeah, yeah, he really lives the song. He really gets inside the lyrics and spits it out. And Harry has fantastic aggressive sort of capabilities up there. So not only can he sing high, he's got the range and everything, but he really knows how to live a song, and that's the difference. That's why Harry's so fantastic. You know.
Yeah, and you guys, and for you, that was your first record with High Roller Records. That was also you had actually worked, what you actually worked with on the new album and a bunch of albums afterwards. Patrick Angle, who played with Hate Spawn out of
Yeah,
Germany and
he's
Pending Doom.
fantastic. He's a genius,
Yeah,
isn't he, Patrick Angle? He really is. And we talked a lot, about different albums we like and stuff. And I knew with Ethan Cross, he'd love it, and I didn't say much about it, and then he got it, and I got the most brilliant letter back. It's like praise from Caesar, because he really loved it, and he said, I think I will do it justice. He definitely did it justice, like it sounds like it's in the room with you, the guitar's around you, and it's like being mugged. It's fantastic. He's got to be the best producer for that album. No one else could have done that as well, I don't think.
well, you've worked with him a lot now, and and with the Resist and Serve, you also got Jake Oslin to play drums on that record, right? And
Yeah,
also Chris Koss, who's still with you.
he's still with. He's been with me forever, hasn't he, Chris? He's the longest Cloven Hoof band member, except for me, I think. And he's sort of altogether, it would be about 11 or 12 years, like. And Chris is super reliable, and he knows the songs inside out, and it'll take no time at all to learn everything, because he's really on it. He's got the style off to a T. And I go, how have you learned that quite so fast? He says, because by now I know what runs you like. He's used to all I've got quirky little sort of runs in the stuff. And he said, yeah, being it's me, it'll be this scale or whatever it is. So I'm repeating myself, am I? But yeah, I mean the thing is, that sort of chemistry, like you get over that sort of period of time, and Chris is he's super reliable, so.
That's a big thing. I mean, me and Ed have played together for probably almost 15 years now, and it's the same deal. We kind of just know each other like the back of each other's hand, and
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. I'll
it's
ring
kind of a
you up
nice thing.
if there's anything like sort of. I'm thinking, well, I need another take on this. I'll get in touch with Chris, because he's like super evenly balanced. Like this guy is like super calm, and he's kind of a spiritual kind of person, while as I'm more sort of creative, like nightmare. But he's a calming influence, like so. Sort of yin and yang. It kind of works. So if I need any sort of advice, apart from the missus. I can't believe that. She you know, like about metal, you know, like, and I had this track, and okay, it's just not happening. It should do, you know. I like the progression behind it. I like the song, but it's just flat. And the missus had one listen. She went, "Make it gallop." She's right. Damn it! And it did sound fantastic when I had it like kind of galloping. Do it like Forgotten Heroes. It'll be fine. And she was right. And it's because of her. She was absolutely bang on. You know.
Give her credit
So
in the liner notes.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
So
and
never live that
you know,
down.
so you guys put out that record in 2014. You play Sweden Rock Festival, right?
That's
And
great.
which leads to George Call, who's had another amazing voice. So you guys are playing a
George,
festival in 2015, right? And this is where you first met George.
yeah, the keep it true one. That was kind of that was weird fate and a half. We'd had all these sort of trouble with like sort of uh, how Russ was going to be really. You know, like I was thinking, well, he can't be with us much longer after this anyway. So I'm thinking, well, I'm going to need to start having a look and see who's out there really, because obviously we have to have great singers because we always have a you know not even good ones. We have great singers. So I remember this just checking out this American band, you know, just before we were going on stage. So I went out front of the house and just kind of watched for a little bit. And this really great singer, I was thinking, wow, listen to that voice, you know, like, and I thought he's exactly what we need. And the band was called Aska, which is his band, you know, like, and I thought that was fantastic. So later on, I was getting the stage clothes, and this guy kind of turns up, and he went, you know, where's Cloven Hoof? You know, he goes, oh, you Lee Payne? I went, yeah. He went, I've got all your albums and everything. And this was this really great singer that I was saying earlier on. And he said, will you sign these? And I went, yeah, okay. You know, like I'm thinking, we got to meet afterwards. You know, like you got a fantastic voice. You know, I was really blown away. You know, I think what are the odds of that? You know, like so. Anyway, so I spent more time sort of hanging out with George than anything, and but amazingly, we were at the hotel, and this guy needed a lift, and I wasn't aware of like what he did at the time, and I sort of you know took him to the gig and everything. We were talking away. I'm thinking, hey, this is a cool guy. And later on, I saw it. There was like an all stars band at the end, and he was phenomenal. You know, it's like, oh my god, he completely owned it. You know, but he's brilliant, and that was Harry. So we saw George and Harry at the same gig. You know, like you know, kind of Harry wasn't available like at that time. But George said if you ever need a singer, he said I'd really like to try it for the band. So when the time was right, that was it really. So keep it true. It's been very sort of been very good, like in our history. And when I got in contact, we got Harry in the band. I was very lucky. The stars lined up again because Harry's lovely wife Christine, she's a huge Cloven Hoof fan, and so I got in touch with her and I went, "Do you think Harry be into singing for Cloven Hoof?" You know, like, and she went, "He'll do it." I went, "No, go and ask him." And about 5 minutes later, he was on there. Yeah, I'll give it a go. I went, "Well, we're playing Keep It True again. Turn up with Keep It True. See if we all get on, and if it's for you." And you know, and then we'll take it from there. And of course, Harry turned up, and you know, he loved it. You know, like, and rest is history, really. And here we are.
Yeah, exactly. And you
So,
guys,
some things are written in the stars. But going back to George, you know, George is one of the fantastic singers as well. He's got the gravel, he's got the range and everything.
he
And
was an Omen too, wasn't he, for a short stint?
yes, and band called Banshee as well. Um, and you know, got on fantastic as people. You know, like George was, he loves comic books and all that kind of thing. And we're always in comic book stores together, like on tour and everything. You know, got this one collecting records. He's got the same sort of metal taste as me, so we got on famously well. And he's got a killer voice and a front man. George is the most brilliant front man. I mean, communicates like on a world class level with a thing. So we had a really good time together, like, and especially on the American tour, that was the most fun ever. That
Because you guys did the Who Mourns for the Morning Star album, and
yeah,
that
yeah,
was your first Amor. You guys did
yeah,
two
it was.
American tours,
And
right?
I think his vocals are incredible. The vocals on that. He sent the vocals, and they were all used, all like perfectly. Great. And then what happened was we had a thing in England called Brexit. I don't know whether you wear it in
Oh
America.
yeah, we get
Uh,
slammed with it here in Europe too.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah. And so the fact is, everything because of that, the prices for everything soared through the roof. Flights went up almost double. There's no cheap flights anymore. So it made it impossible for us to have an American band member. As much as, I love like being with George and Danny, who was a drummer as well, like that. But, Danny's a lovely guy. And we had such a great time together. But it's just financial, it's just business. And you can't operate at a loss. So we had to have a singer that was based in Europe who was fantastic. So, somebody mentioned that they thought that Harry was living in Greece. So that was it. So he does he? So I got in contact with Christine and got in touch with him. So we were really lucky on that score because I love American voices. It's like the way you kind of pronounce things. It sounds proper.
and when you write, do you write to American Voice? Like, do you
Yeah,
think of
I've
that when you
always
write the
I've
lyrics?
always done that. I've always written for Ronnie James Dio, basically. On my own. I'm writing for Ronnie, so he's my
And like,
inspiration, really. So
yeah, he was absolutely amazing. And like you guys did the Who Mourns album, and then you guys did Age of Steel.
I just do it.
Age of Steel, and that was so that one right there was that. Now that's another thing. Was that actually going to be titled "Immorality Denied"?
Uh,
Immortality Denied.
we were kicking things around, and so another band had Immortality Denied. The only thing was, it was like during that time period, they went. The fans were like going, "Why don't you write another Dominator? We want the Dominator character." And I went, "I've killed him off." Like it was a Dominator was about the rise and fall of the Dominator. Please write a Dominator album. So I was thinking, well, maybe I could. Maybe I could think of a good storyline to like resurrect him again. And then I was really sort of heavily got into the concept, and I was thinking, well, maybe the only way to sort of kill him off was if the character could travel back in time, kill him. Very good. Everyone would like to do that to Hitler, maybe. But the fact is, hold on a minute. What about if you go back in time and do it, your time stream finishes. So no matter your great deed of killing this dictator, but you'll lose everything. You don't exist. Everything your family, everything has gone, and you'll die, and nobody will know about what you did at all. And I'm just like thinking, that's a dilemma. Would you do that? And in the end, I figured that if he was like a super sort of ninja kind of soldier, then in the end he'd do it because of his duty. So he goes back, and that was on Time Assassin. So,
Yes,
so,
because you
so
brought him back on the second side of
yeah, that's right.
Age of
So,
Steel.
so one side of Age of Steel was the Dominator story, and the concluding part of the Dominator story is on Time Assassin. Yeah,
Time of
you're right.
Steel.
Yeah.
So, cause on so you had Age of Steel, you had the Bathory theme song, you had a token, you had some token in there, you had and we're actually going to play Apathy in a minute, which is actually kind of a political song, correct?
It is. It's one of the few ones we do. But when you consider that how many people sort of died to give you the right to vote, most of the time you're voting for probably some idiot that you know is an idiot, but
Yeah.
they're the most useful idiot, and you think they'll do the least harm. Because most people, I would have thought, like me, and it's like, I like some of those policies. I like some of these. I don't like all of yours. You know what I mean. So my actual political view is over on the subject. It's not like I'm going to support this blinkered no matter what. I think they should just take all the best policies, and that's what should govern the country. But hey, that isn't going to happen. But anyway, so the fact is with Apathy, it's like, so after what all these countries have been through with their history to give you the right to vote, and nobody can be bothered. That's just lying. Like, you should at least make a difference and come out there, at least, you know, try your best to pick the least worst, shouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Especially the ones who complain about it. You know, if you're not going to go out and
exactly, that's my
don't
point.
complain.
They're the first ones to moan, and the fact but you didn't even vote. So what a waste, you know. Like, you never know. Your vote could have changed that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think it's very irresponsible not to do that. You know, considering, you know, what everybody had to go through over all these years, you know, to get the vote, and for you know, in England, you know, Emily Pankhurst and the suffragettes, those women died and put up with terrible stuff, and you can't even vote. You know, like, so I think apathy's one of the. That's a real terrible sort of crime, really, to not care or not do anything. For God's sake, have some balls and go and nail your colours to something. You know what I mean? Stand up for something that you believe in. But there's people who go through life, they don't give a shit about anything to that. You know, like, and I think
just take up space.
Yeah, that's
take
it.
up space. You know,
they sort of live, and then they go to the toilet, and then they die. You know, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, like, at least stand up for something. You don't believe in anything. You know.
They post on Facebook and waste space.
Yeah.
You know?
Yourself, and that's it. You know, crazy.
Well,
So it is one of our few political songs. I try to keep away from it, really, because I don't want to alienate our fans. You know, like, people don't know exactly. Well, I'll basically give you my political views. I like on some things, not on others. But you know, it's kind of it's a minefield, and I don't want to alienate our fans, because I want as many people to like us as possible. Because if you're, you know, too left wing or too right wing, you're going to alienate some people that might have really loved your music, but now they think you're an asshole.
Music's an escape for a lot of people too.
Yeah,
you know, so it's kind of.
If anything, I want to take them away from that. You know, the world is terrible, so come and explore, you know, different universe. You know, we use your imagination, and Cloven Hoof music will take you away from all of this. You know, like, and especially you must be all be going crazy now in America, because it's just mental, isn't it, at the moment?
I'm here now, but it's nuts. I mean, you know, like, it's just, you know, it's like, to me, it's like either way it sucks. So you got no way to win. It's like, it's just kind of crazy. And, you know, me and Ed, we've seen it, you know, it's been the last 10 or 15 years. It's been absolutely nuts. It just gets more insane. I'm over it
anymore. It's just like, you know, like,
it's like sports teams. I don't think anybody really, like, Ed will even probably say this. It's like, nobody really knows exactly what they really feel anymore. It's just they know that they have. It's like they're rooting for teams almost, no matter what the teams are doing and stuff. Exactly. It's pretty wacky, you know. And I'm over here in Eastern Europe, but we have our own thing going on. You know, here, obviously with the wars and stuff, we have a whole bunch of shit that we watch here, and you know, it's unbelievable that in 2024 the things that we see happen, and you know, I didn't think we'd see a lot of things that we see happen now.
Well, you lose, how many friends you lose over one opinion?
Yeah.
You have one opinion that differs. No, remember before, you could say, I like the color black, and somebody would be like, well, I'm a blue person, and you guys could have a discord about it.
Now it's like, kill them.
Now it's just like,
kill him. Yeah, burn him.
Yeah, man, it's you're right. America's nuts. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, and that cover, we'll talk about that, because that has something to do with that. Actually, however, nobody can see us, but we just saw the new Cloven Hoof cover, which we're gonna, after we play the song, we're gonna talk about that album. But yeah, no, it's right. You can. Ed's 100% right, because Ed, you see it in the States all the time. We see even band guys we know fighting each other.
People who stop talking to me because of an opinion, and I don't even see. I don't post none of my political beliefs on Facebook or none of that, because it's not your business, it's mine. What I believe in has nothing to do with you or anybody else. It's how I feel. So when people try to force their beliefs on you, when they try to force their beliefs on you, that's like the old ancient way of, you're going to do what we say and how we say, or you're, like you said, you're dead. Go to die. Go be put to death. Forget it. Nah.
It's just a mindset.
We're screwed.
You don't need to be honest. So, you know,
it's crazy.
I can't. So, yeah, it's one of the few political things.
And we're going to play that now. This is Apathy from Cloven Hoof off the 2020 Age of Steel record. And we'll be back on the Tampa Morgue with Lee Payne after this song.
What is wrong with the world today? It seems caught in a mire. sinking in quicksand, and the walls keep getting higher. I wonder when the light set in. It's a sin to waste so much of your life on the road to nowhere, living on the edge of a knife. All the people lying around, seems they just don't care. Don't listen to you, turn down the sound on show TV, and you better not dare. Apathy in social classes. Apathy brings us to apathy. Now be massive. Apathy. This used to be my country. Corroded by apathy. Eroded by apathy. They say jump, you say how high. So desensitized. Stagnate, resign to your fate. Are you down or fucking hypnotized? They make your mind right up for you. Blossom issues since you got no use. Seems to me everything you do leaves you permanently confused. Hey, least resistance, turn a blind eye. Do nothing at all. Won't fall to ponder what. No wonder the world has come to the wall. Apathy in social classes. Apathy brings us to apathy. Now we massive. Apathy. This used to be my country. Corroded by apathy. Eroded by apathy. What is wrong with the world today? It seems caught in a mire, sinking in the quicksand, and the walls keep getting higher. I wonder when that's set in. It's a shame to waste so much of your life on the road to nowhere, living on the edge of a high. Apathy in social classes. Apathy brings us to apathy. Now we massive. Apathy. This used to be my country. Corroded by apathy. Eroded by apathy. Corroded by apathy. Eroded by apathy.
There you go. That was Cloven Hoof with Apathy off the Age of Steel 2020 record. And we're going to get to the new album actually. And because after that was Time Assassin, which we talked about, which was a continuation of the Dominator story. It was George's last album with the band too, which I totally understand because as of it's funny, Lee. I'm planning on going back to the States very soon, and I'm looking at the plane fare, and it's absolutely crazy. Like what I was paying 2 years ago to go back and forth to now, it's like it's just ridiculous.
There are no cheap flights. They're just
No.
not.
I was paying like $400 maybe 400 euros to go back to the States at one time, and now it's like 900.
Yeah.
These are like crazy flights.
Yeah.
23 hours. But you guys did that, and on that record, I did want to mention one thing though. Before first of all, you were back with Heavy Metal Records, who's done stuff like Accept, Diamond Head, Satanic Rites out of the UK. But also, one of the songs on there was the Highwayman influence was by actually a road you were driving down with your stepdaughter. That's what
Yeah,
influenced
that's
that
right.
track.
That's right. Yeah, she was based in this place near the Lake District, and I was every time she'll do, she'll have a break, and I go pick her up, take her home, and then she spend the weekend with us and stuff. And I'd always be driving this old coach road, and there's this pub called the Highwayman, and I'm thinking this has got to be a coach road anyway. It's really kind of straight. And I said, this pub must have been there forever. But as I'm driving past, just this melodies kind of coming into my head, all the time. I'm gonna go. This is going to end up a song about Highwayman. Definitely. I had it was almost. It's weird. It just came out of nowhere, as if I was being sang to. Fantastic. So I was singing it into my phone and thing, and it literally just developed. Just driving past that thing and then singing. It sort of inspired all the way kind of back. But we did go in that pub, and yeah, it was a proper Highwayman sort of hideout. Back in the was it 17th century? Yeah, I think it's 17th century, something like that. It's an old coach on the old coaching road, and they used to turn up there with the stage coaches and stuff. And this place would be full of like all these ne'er do well kind of throat cutter kind of people, and Highwayman frequented by the Basilot. And I thought it wouldn't get a name otherwise. I mean, a lot of things in England, the clues in the name. And like in England, things are called strata, and it means it was kind of Roman, and it's got orange in Rome because strata's in there. The Cester, is kind of that's more sort of medieval, like Leicester, Worcester, things like that. So the clues in the name. So it's great. A lot of these things sort of named in history, and it's like Cloven Hoof. There's a bloody good chance, it's not for witchcraft and that kind of stuff. So that's one of the, I love English history. I'm a big sort of fan, and it's always been sort of a source for song inspiration. I've always loved like comic books. I've always loved myths and legends. I love all the Greek sort of heroic kind of the Greek gods and stuff, and the Viking stuff, uh, and comic books and horror, and kind of you mix it all together. You got like us really. So uh,
Yeah,
better than just singing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll all the time, innit? So nothing wrong with
that's
that.
why we got ACDC.
Yeah, ACDC got that nailed.
Back to ACDC. It all comes back around.
I love those guys.
And then yeah, I mean, I was I grew up, obviously, that was one of my first records, as a kid, the old ACDC record. So, of course, I'm always loyal to that. And then it takes us to the new record, man. You got, like I said, you have to be excited. You got basically, actually, on my time, because we're all in different time periods, all three of us right now. You got one day left in my zone until the new record's out. It's
Yeah,
out on the 31st. So we talked about how you met Harry at the Keep It True Festival. We did talk about that. Same place you met George. And, so we got all that cover for the new record. Let's talk about the album cover first, because the album cover is awesome. And I'll let you explain it, because I did hear the story for the album
yeah, Alex
cover.
did a real good job. Well, the main thing was I had this nightmare, which is I sometimes do get inspired like with nightmares. Maybe psychological. Your brain's still ticking over music, and it's still coming up with things while you're asleep, maybe. But yeah, I dreamt we were making this album in Cornwall, and you know, I know like Ronnie made Holy Diver. He took the whole band down to Tintagel in Cornwall as inspiration, before they made the Holy Diver album. So maybe that was in my head as well. But I had this. So I was in Cornwall, and then suddenly there was this track, Sabbat Stones, that I've had on the first album. It would have been on the first album. I couldn't come up with the storyline, no matter how much I tried. Nothing really would do it justice. It's like great riff and everything, and nothing came. But I had this girlfriend. I had this girlfriend who lived in Cornwall, and she's from this village called St. Cullum. And at the church, as she went, it's a fantastic story, really. Right up your street, this is going to be. I went, why? And she said, I'll show you the church. So I saw this church, and it's got like this village green, and obviously there were standing stones around. You could see like where the stones were. And I went, oh, that's a shame they got rid of the stones. She went, yeah, but the reason they got rid of the standing stones is the vicar didn't like the legend that's attached to them. And I went, what would that be? And she went, well, the legend is that the seven sisters danced on the Sabbath day, which is the Sunday, and they were turned to stone by God. So the vicar didn't like it, so he had the seven stones moved and put outside the church walls, not so it's not on consecrated ground. And I went and saw the stuff. They're fantastic, you know, like proper like that. Would look great, you know. Like so, I used the lines of the Seven Sisters actually in the song as well, you know. So it got me thinking. Well, I could put the Sabbath stones together with the sort of evil sort of witch finder kind of character that I've got on Curse of the Gypsy. And it
And
would,
you sketched this first, right? And you gave it to the
yeah.
artist.
I was thinking all these ideas are coming together, you know, like, and so then we got you know the witch, you know, this sort of witch finder kind of thing, and I'm thinking actually this that will make a really cool character like for the cover, and I've got this other storyline now. By declaring this to you now, I can't face you again unless I go through with it. But a few journalists went, with you, it's all storyline, isn't it? You know, you love stories, you know, and you like being a storyteller. Why don't you do a comic book? And I went, it's just the time in it, you know, like, oh. And I went, okay, I will. So it's going to be 14 pages, and you'll show you what all that's about. So I've got a story that ties it all in. So there
But you
you
have
go.
songs like what? Curse of the Gypsy is based on the cover
Yeah,
also.
we got like Curse of the Gypsy, Frost and Fire, Sabbath Stones, The Summoning, and Redeemer. All those tracks completely will all fit together with this little legend thing I've come up with. So there we go.
And who's the
So
artist who did the
I've
cover?
got to draw it now, haven't I? There's just no getting out of it.
Now you're stuck because you know
I'm
this.
stuck, man.
Now you're on tape saying this.
I've got to have some balls and actually do it. But do you know how long it takes me ages to do stuff like this? You know, because like art, I got asked to. I'll tell you what. Years and years ago, there's an English comic called Eagle Comics, kind of famous. There's a character called Dan Dare, and if you're into comic books, you know he's kind of a famous kind of character, sort of spaceman sort of kind of character. Well, anyway, the I was pitching for something else. It wasn't being an artist, and so I went down to Eagle Comics at Irwin House. So it wasn't at all like I thought. I thought it'd be like Marvel or something, you know, get a great big, loads of desks with loads of artists scribbling away, you know, like doing all their stuff. It wasn't like that at all. It was just like little cubicles with all the kind of editors for all these magazines. Like 2000 AD, Steve McManus would have been there, but he wasn't in on the day I went in. And like David Hunt was here, but I showed him all my stuff, and he went, "Tell you what though, do you want a job?" I went, "What, as a comic book artist?" I went, "Yeah, that'd be a dream come true. I'd love that." Then he told me the deadlines, and I'm thinking, "You're joking? I wouldn't even have a cover by that time. I can do it, but I'm slow." Okay, so I said, "I'd look. It's a great compliment, but I don't think I could do it." So we'll just see if I've speeded up in the meantime. So I'll get round to doing it. I will try my best. So I'll try and get this comic book. I've got two now. There's you and this girl. So she talked me into it. And now I've declared with you. I've got to see it through, haven't I, albeit.
Well, I think it's great you sketch the art out. Who is the guy who actually did the final version of the album cover?
Alex, what's her name? I pronounce it wrong. So
I always butcher names on this show, so don't worry.
Alex, you did a killer job, my friend. You know, he's a brilliant artist, really good. So we've used him before, and he's a great artist. I just, you know, basically, I just get the idea, like what I want, and I'll send him my version. I sent him a version of that, and he made my look rubbish. So there we go.
and you said again, it's Patrick Angle again, who you worked with. Obviously, you have a great relationship with now.
Got a
and
real
back on High Roller Records.
Yeah, they're fantastic, and I think Stefan's the owner is amazing. You know, like everybody's like dedicated super metal fans, and it's a good team. So I guess we belong on High Roller, because we work together, and all our best results have been like on High Roller. So yeah, long may it continue. Then now we've got the right formula. And we,
And you
we
got
it's basically get the band in the studio playing like a band with the right EQ that Patrick gives you, and he'll mix that sucker for you, and you're gonna love it.
and like you said, you always kind of you try to incorporate everything the fans love into the band. You do take you're very out, you're outside the shows talking to the fans. You do take that information and put it into what you guys do, which is great. And you also what you could totally tell from your discography, you're not a big fan of repetitive records. Every record sounding the same, which you could totally see that when you look at this band. And do you guys have any tour plans coming up for this?
Well, because
Or festivals?
because I'm working on the next one of this. I went in the studio like the other Sunday, and I've started demoing up the next one. So we got to get that done. So we got
Do you already have most of it written for the next one?
yeah. I've got the next two. I've definitely got the
Wow.
next two ready. Yeah, definitely. So they're not going to be hard albums to do, because they're kind of all envisioned at the same time. So there'll be nice continuity between this album and the next one's coming up, and hopefully we can make them sound as good. So fingers crossed. So that'll be good. So yeah, and we've got Mia Fest. We've got Mia Fest. That's cool, and we've got one in Oxford as well. It's on here somewhere, but I'm gonna if I is that okay?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It or anything.
No one can see us anyway. We only see we only see us.
Okay,
And
we got the Mia Fest one.
And what I'll do, Lee, is while you're looking at that, is we're going to play the last song tonight. We're going to play is Sabbat Stones. We're going to play off
great
the new record, and then we're going to come back and we'll say goodbye. I know we've kept you. We hung out with you for a while tonight. We really appreciate it, man. It's you just have such a history, and yeah, we're gonna play Sabbat Stones now, which like with this song, this was you were talking about your dream and stuff. This played all into that. You heard the name and stuff. This is on High Roller Records, which is going to be out Friday, which is May 31st for those who, 2024, whoever's listening ahead of time or in the future. But we're gonna play that song now. Then we're gonna come back, talk about a few more things with you, and we're gonna let you get out of here. This is the track off the new record coming out Friday from Cloven Hoof. This is Sabbat Stones. We'll be back on the Tampa Morgue right after this track.
Disciples have now come for me. In the distance, see the torches shining. In the night, forevermore I'll be. Magic circle, pointing fingers to the sky. My, oh my. Seven sisters in the stars before I die. Sabbat Stones. final place. Turning circles, people chanting, hear them cry. Why, oh why? Witches passing, spells are casting way on high. Sabbat stones, Sabbat stones, Sabbat stones, Sabbat stones. Hear the cry of the distant ages. See the wonder of the sages. Of the sages. On the hillside, rolling thunder. Feel the magic pull you under. Pull you under. Magic circle, pointing fingers to the sky. My oh my. Seven sisters in the stars before I die. Sabbath stones, Sabbath stones, Sabbath stones, Sabbath stones, Sabbath stones. Till the cry over the fallen. Sabbath stones. Wait for their time to arise. Sabbath stones. Like sleep, death is transition. Sabbath stones. Soon they will all be alive.
That was Sabbath Stones off the new record from. Let me see here. I'm trying to look at. I got one more song I want to mention to you too here. That Last Man Standing song.
Oh yeah,
That was actually inspired by. What we were talking about him earlier. Your guitar player was a cage fighter.
yeah. Joe was he's got to be the only sort of X Factor cage fighter that I've ever had on there.
Yeah, it's a crazy mix, right?
Yeah. It's hard as nails, Joe. Originally, I thought Last Man Standing probably be a little bit sort of autobiographical, because I've been last man standing a few times, and it's just all about picking yourself up and being determined. But at the end, Joe went, "Hey, why don't you write one for a cage fighter? Write an anthem for fighting. Could be for boxing even." He said, "I reckon you could do a really good anthem for that." So I was thinking, okay. I mean, when you hear the references in the song, I did go down the cage fighting, boxing kind of side, and it's all about sort of being tough and with a will to win, which is what you need if you're a warrior of any kind of description, aren't you? Really, and that kind of is very sort of emotive, and hopefully I did it kind of justice. So whether you could imagine hearing that when you get like sort of world boxing championship, if they played that song, that'd be great. That'd fit in. That'd fit in real well. So that's the motivation behind that. It's sort of in C sharp as well, so it's sort of detuned. so it sounds really sort of powerful. It also gives a nice bit of light and shade on there as well. I always try and throw in a song there which just sounds slightly different from everything else.
It definitely stands out. It's definitely the different song out of the bunch.
Yeah, and it's definitely kind of a single. It's got the big hook line in there, so I think it works. I think it works really, really well. We got so we should be playing. I think we got Mere Fest and we got Rabbit Fest in Oxford, and then we're in Munich in November. So that'll be cool. So we'll be playing all these new songs for those kind of gigs. So the rest of the time's just going to be making the next.
Have you guys played Tampa before?
What's that? So then.
Have you guys played Tampa before?
Tampa, we did, yeah, and I'll remember it really, really well because that was the one where we went outside. We're having a beer before the gig, and it was like something out of Starsky and Hutch. This police car comes roaring into the car park. We're just standing there with our beers. And this police car roars in, pulls up about like 3 feet from us, screeching tyres. The bloke jumps out, and the cop sort of holds his gun, freeze and all that stuff, and then starts searching him. And the other cop come and went and got this bag of, it's obvious what it was, the thing. And I'm just, what the hell? It was like Starsky and Hutch for real, so that's what stands out a lot. And the fans were brilliant, they were fantastic. So, but that's what I remember about that gig the most, It's like Starsky and Hutch for real. And in England, you just think, well, what would it be like in real life? But the thing is, America, you become so sort of part of everything that nothing seems that odd. It really doesn't. We were driving home from a gig once, we got the hotel, and then loads of cops, about 20 cars and everything, sirens, all sort of like, staking out this guy. There's obviously going to be like shooting and stuff and we were like, can we bother watching, or are you really tired? Yeah, let's just go back to the hotel, but it was dead exciting, so you'd have thought we'd have stopped and watched, but no, it's just like every day. This is America, man. Yeah, so it's
and you notice with all these stories about America, it's chaos.
Yeah. I'm sure there's quiet days as well. It's just that I wasn't part of any of them.
No, it's not. It's pure chaos.
I love America. I really do. It's made me have a look at, I kind of check the news out just to see what's going on, and then I sort of despair, and then I'll look at something else. It must be really tough though to deal with it.
I think it's funny here in Lithuania.
Yeah.
We have cops that play. They play cops on the TV here all the time from America. It's I show my wife. I'm like, yeah, this is. It gets kind of crazy sometimes. But and Lee, anybody, and also before we let you go, man, are you still doing the East of Lyra project, which is obviously a Rush?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got the next album of that. I think it sounds really fantastic. The only thing is, it's doing it at a time when it does interfere with what we're doing, and. I'll try and get it. I'll try and get it out at some point, but it's just our schedule at the moment. There's definitely two new Cloven Hoofs got to come out, but yeah, I would love that album to come out, because it's a good release for me. It lets my prog side sort of out, and then I can put it back to bed and then get on with the metal. But it's very good for the soul, really. You get to play in a different kind of style. I get to play my Rickenbacker all over the place. So yeah, it's there. It's just finding time just to bring it out. But it's written, So hopefully it'll see the light of day.
Yeah, and we want to thank you for coming on here. But anybody wants to find anything Cloven Hoof, where can they go? Web page, anything you want to promote, you can just go ahead and
yeah, clovenhoof.net, and we're on Facebook, and the clovenhoof.net is probably the best one because it's 100% official, and we try to keep it with only useful information on there, so there ain't going to be any bogus gigs which we don't do on there, because you can't trust everything, can you? So but that site you can take to the bank. No. That's the one. If you want Cloven Hoof news, it'll be on there. I just want to thank everybody for especially fans in America, sticking around like 44 years with us. It's at least must have been doing something right. But as I said before, it's like the only way you can find out if music's good or not, and that's if it stands the test of time. So just thank you for the opportunity to still being able to rock out for you, and absolute pleasure to be on the show. I've really enjoyed it, and we've got to do it again, guys.
For sure.
Hopefully the next.
Yeah, man, you got 2 more albums coming out, so that's no problem.
I'll see you on one of them. You stay safe, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys got, like I said, you got the new album. Yes,
but
new album's going to be out. You guys got it on vinyl coming out, CD. You got it, cassettes, everything.
Yeah, it's on everything. You name it, it's there. They've done really well for us, High Roller, and it's in any number of formats. I don't know if you like me. It's like I like the vinyls, though, don't you? Like there's some more magic in like vinyls.
Yeah.
More you don't have to squint. And what does that say? You can read all the lyrics, and it's very kind of tactile. And you were born
Nostalgic. Very nostalgic.
Yeah, it is. I want to hear the crackles and everything. I love vinyl, and I think it generally does sound warmer. It really does through my stereo anyway. But there's a magic to it.
The artwork's always cooler. I mean,
yeah, definitely,
exactly.
And
well, Lee, we would definitely want to thank you for coming on, man.
Absolute honor.
It's a pleasure to have you on here. It was awesome. The new record is great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys. And
heavy. Very heavy.
That's it. It's called a darkly heavy now. It's darkly heavy.
Yes.
An absolute pleasure, and see you next time. And an absolute honor. So,
yes. Yeah, so everybody, Cloven Hoof, the new record out Friday, which is May 31st for those who are listening. High Roller Records. We're going to say goodbye to Lee after we hang up here, but Ed, where can people find us at?
Spotify, Apple, anywhere podcast. I'm not even going to name them anymore. Just everywhere you get a podcast. YouTube, thetampamorgue@gmail.com if you want to write us questions that I'm not going to answer. I mean, Instagram for sure. Sorry, I didn't go live. I'm sorry. The MDF was crazy. If you've ever played a real festival, it's nuts. So yeah, it's where you find us.
Again, everyone, thanks for listening. You can go back and listen to a bunch of our old episodes. Yeah, everywhere podcast can be found. We have a bunch of old shows back there. Like I said, we got Christian Autopsy coming on the 19th. We got Gene from Angel Corpse and Perdition Temple coming on the 25th. And tonight we had Lee Payne from Cloven Hoof. So everybody, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next week on the Tampa Morgue.
See ya.